Have you ever heard someone say, just work hard, and you'll get rich? It's something we hear all the time, right? Like it's a simple rule for life. You put in the effort, you get the reward, and it sounds good, like a fair deal. But here's the thing. While working hard is important, it's not always the only path to wealth, and it doesn't guarantee riches for everyone. Think about it. For most of human history, people worked incredibly hard just to survive. Farmers tilled fields from dawn till dusk. Hunters risked their lives daily, and craftspeople toiled for hours making goods. Their lives were filled with backbreaking work. But were they all rich? Most of them were just trying to put food on the table for their families. They weren't building huge fortunes or living in luxury. Their hard work was about staying alive, not getting rich. So, where did this idea that hard work makes you rich come from? It's a belief that grew stronger in more modern times, especially in places where people believed anyone could succeed if they just tried hard enough. It's part of a powerful story, one that says if you fail, it's because you didn't work hard enough. But that story misses a lot of pieces. Imagine two students. Both are very smart and work incredibly hard in school. They study late, do all their homework, and push themselves to learn. One student goes to a great school in a wealthy area, where they have all the best textbooks, new computers, and teachers who can spend extra time with them. This student's parents also have connections and can help them find internships or get into a top university. The other student works just as hard, maybe even harder, but their school doesn't have many resources. They share old textbooks, their computers crash, and their teachers are often overwhelmed. Their family might not have money for college or know anyone who can help them get a job. Both students are working hard, right? But their starting lines are very different. One has opportunities that the other simply doesn't, through no fault of their own. That's the point. Hard work is a piece of the puzzle, a really important piece. But it's not the whole picture. Where you are born, what resources you have access to, the family you are born into, and even just plain luck can play huge roles. Sometimes, people work their entire lives doing difficult, demanding jobs, and they still struggle to make ends meet. Think of nurses, sanitation workers, or people who clean buildings late at night. They work incredibly hard, often for low pay, doing jobs that make our society run. They might not ever get rich, but their work is valuable and necessary. So, what does this mean for you? It doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard. You absolutely should. Hard work builds character, teaches you discipline, and helps you learn and grow. It opens doors. But understanding that hard work isn't the only ingredient for wealth can change how you see the world. It can help you be kinder, more understanding, and more curious about why things are the way they are. It reminds us that real value isn't always measured in money, and that a life well lived is about more than just how much you earn. It's about effort, yes, but also about purpose, fairness, and the chances we are given or not given. Have you ever heard the saying, time is money? It sounds so simple, right? The idea is, if you work more hours, you'll make more money. And for a long time, many people have believed this deeply. It's a belief that shapes our world, telling us that the harder and longer we push, the richer we'll get. But what if that's not always true? What if there's a point where putting in more hours actually starts to work against you? This idea, that more hours simply equal more money, can be a trap. It's like running on a treadmill that never ends, always moving, but not always getting to where you want to be. Think about how things used to be. For much of human history, people didn't really work hours in the way we do now. Farmers worked with the sun. Artisans made things until they were done. There wasn't a clock punching in and out. The idea of paying someone just for their time, for hours worked, grew really big during the Industrial Revolution. Factories needed people to show up and do the same thing over and over. So, time is money became a huge rule. The more time you spent in the factory, the more money you theoretically earned. And that thinking stuck around. Here's what I mean. Imagine an athlete, maybe a runner. To get better, they need to train. They run, they lift weights. And yes, training more often can make them stronger and faster. But there's a limit, isn't there? If a runner trains for 10 hours straight every single day, without rest, without good food, what happens? They get tired. they get injured. Their body breaks down. They stop getting better. In fact, they might even get worse. All those extra hours don't help them win. They just wear them out. It's the same with working more. After a certain point, the extra hours don't bring more quality or better results. They just bring exhaustion. Your brain gets foggy. Your body gets tired. You make more mistakes. So, are you really earning more if the quality of your work goes down? Or if you get sick from overworking? And that's the quiet problem with this more hours, more money belief. It tells us that our value, our worth, comes only from how much time we spend working. It can make us feel guilty for resting, for playing, for simply being. But here's the thing. Our lives are not just about working. They're about growing, learning, connecting with people, and finding joy. True richness isn't just about the money you make. It's about the life you build. Sometimes, stepping away, resting, and thinking differently can lead to better ideas, better work, and a much fuller life, even with fewer hours. It's about working smarter, yes, but also about living wisely. It's about remembering that time itself is precious, and how we spend it truly matters, far beyond just earning a buck. We often hear the same advice, don't we? Study hard, get good grades, and then just get a good job. It sounds simple. It sounds safe. For a long time, it was the main path, the trusted map. But is that really all there is to it? Is a good job by itself truly enough to build the kind of financial strength and freedom we might want? Here's the thing about a job. It usually means you are trading your time for money. You put in 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours. You stop working, the money stops. This is called active income. It's direct. It's important. It provides stability, and that stability is something people have always looked for. Think back in time, long before our modern cities. Most people lived on farms. They grew their own food, made their own clothes. Their work was directly tied to their survival. Then, something big happened. The Industrial Revolution. Factories popped up. People moved from farms to cities. Instead of growing crops, they worked in mills or on assembly lines. This was a new way of life. For the first time, many people had a regular paycheck, a steady wage. It felt incredibly secure compared to the uncertainty of farming. This idea of a job became central to life, a promise of security and a way to build a family. So, the message of just get a good job made a lot of sense back then. It was a step forward. But the world has changed again. What if your job disappears? What if you get sick and can't work? Or what if you simply want more time for yourself, for your family, for your dreams, without the constant worry of losing your income? A job, as important as it is, often puts a ceiling on your time and your earnings. There are only so many hours in a day you can work. Imagine a beautiful, sprawling garden. Most of us are taught to become truly excellent gardeners for someone else's amazing garden. You learn all the skills. You work hard. You make their flowers bloom and their vegetables grow. You get a good salary for this. And it feels good to be skilled and useful. But here's the thought. All that beauty, all that growth you helped create, still belongs to someone else. And the moment you stop working for them, your pay stops. You're constantly pouring water into their garden. What if, instead, you also learned how to plant your own seeds? What if you learned how to grow your own trees that would produce fruit year after year, long after you've stopped tending them for the day? Or what if you found a spring on your own land that could keep flowing, even when you're resting? This is the difference between simply trading your time for money and building things that can make money for you, even when you're not actively working. We call this passive income or owning assets. It's about creating a system, not just being part of someone else's system. This isn't to say that jobs are bad. Not at all. Jobs are essential. They teach us discipline. They help us learn skills. They connect us with others. And they provide a stable base. But relying only on a job for all your financial well-being might be like having only one small hose when you could be building a whole irrigation system or even digging your own well. It's about seeing beyond the immediate paycheck. It's about understanding that true financial peace might come not just from what you earn each week, but from what you own and what you have created that can keep growing, giving back to you, even when your hands are still. It's about being the architect of your own future, not just a skilled builder following someone else's blueprint. Have you ever saved up for something you really wanted? A new video game? A cool pair of sneakers? Maybe even a new phone? And remember that feeling right after you finally bought it? That rush, that burst of pure excitement? It's a powerful feeling, right? Like you just found true happiness. And for a little while, it honestly does feel good. This is one of those big lies we often believe about money, that buying new stuff makes us happy. And it does, sort of. But here's the thing. It's almost always a short-term kind of fun. The joy quickly fades. People have thought about happiness for thousands of years. Even the wise people in ancient Greece, long before smartphones or video games, understood this. They talked about how true happiness wasn't found in having the most stuff. They saw that the joy from buying something new always seemed to fade. It's like eating a really sweet piece of candy. It tastes amazing for a moment, but then it's gone, and you're left wanting another. This idea that external things only give us temporary pleasure isn't new. It's an ancient whisper, passed down through time. Think about it this way. You finally get that brand new phone you've been dreaming about. For the first week, maybe even 2, you're super careful with it. You show it off to your friends. It feels amazing just to hold it, to scroll through the apps. But what happens after a month or 6 months? It's just your phone. It might get a scratch, and soon enough, a newer, shinier model will come out. The excitement you felt when you first got it is pretty much gone. This isn't just about phones, though. It's about almost anything new we buy, from a new bicycle to a cool jacket. That amazing, fresh feeling wears off. We get used to what we have, and then we often start looking for the next new thing to try and get that same rush all over again. Here's what I found. It's kind of like being on a treadmill. You keep running, you put in effort, but you stay in the same place. You buy something new, you get a burst of happiness, but then that feeling goes away, and you feel like you need to buy something else to get that good feeling back. It's a never-ending cycle, always chasing a feeling that just won't stay. So, if buying new stuff doesn't bring lasting happiness, what does? This is where it gets interesting, and honestly, a little deeper. Real, quiet happiness often comes from things money can't buy directly. It comes from experiences. A fun trip with family, learning a new skill that challenges you, laughing really hard with your friends, or helping someone who needs it. It comes from connection, building strong relationships with the people in your life who truly care about you. It comes from growing as a person, from challenging yourself, from discovering who you are and what truly matters to you. When we constantly chase that short-term fun of buying things, we might miss out on building the kind of life that actually feels rich and full, not just for a fleeting moment, but for a long, long time. It's about understanding that money is a tool. It can help you get things, sure, but it can't buy the deep, settled feelings that truly last. The real trick is to notice when that new stuff feeling starts to fade, and then to remember where true, quiet contentment really comes from. It's usually found not in what you own, but in how you live and what you share. Do you ever feel like you just have to have the newest phone? The one everyone's talking about? The one with the slightly better camera or the brighter screen? It's a feeling many of us know well. This idea that our current phone, which works perfectly fine, suddenly isn't good enough. Companies spend a lot of money to make us feel this way. They want us to believe that the very latest thing will make our lives better, faster, cooler. But here's the thing. Most of the time, the new phone does almost the exact same stuff as the old one. Maybe the camera is a tiny bit better, or it opens apps a split second faster. Yet, that little difference feels huge in our minds, because clever ads tell us it is. They whisper that without this new gadget, we're missing out, that we're not quite as good as someone who has it. This isn't a new trick. Think about it. Long ago, maybe someone felt they needed the fanciest horse or the best hunting tools, not because their old one was broken, but because having the best was seen as a way to show off or to feel important. For thousands of years, people have been told they need something outside themselves to complete them. The idea that having more or having the latest makes you a better or happier person. But here's what history also shows. True happiness rarely comes from things you can buy. It comes from inside. Consider a simple pencil. You can buy a basic yellow school pencil. It writes perfectly well. It does its job. Or you can buy a really fancy mechanical pencil, shiny and expensive, with special lead. Does the fancy pencil write better words? Number. Does it help you think clearer? Number. Both pencils put marks on paper. The fancy one just costs more, and maybe for a short time, it makes you feel a little cooler holding it. But that feeling fades fast. The main purpose, writing, is the same. Our phones are a lot like that. Most of what we do on them, talking, texting, looking stuff up, watching videos, any modern smartphone can handle that just fine. You don't need the very latest model to connect with friends or learn something new. This constant chase for the newest and best can be tiring. It keeps us looking outward for happiness. It can also make us feel bad about what we do have. It feeds into this idea that we are somehow lacking if we don't own the very latest gadget. It's like we're always playing catch-up, always just behind the curve. So, what if we pause for a moment? What if we remember that a tool is just a tool? Its true value isn't in how new it is, but in how it helps us. What if we focus on what our phone does for us, instead of what it looks like or what year it came out? Maybe the real upgrade isn't a new phone at all. Maybe it's upgrading our own thoughts, changing our mindset to appreciate what we have, to see its true usefulness, to find contentment in the present, not in the next big purchase. Because the feeling of needing the latest thing is often just a whisper from the world trying to sell us something. And if we listen closely, we might hear our own quiet wisdom telling us something else entirely, that we are enough, and what we have is often enough too. Have you ever looked at what your friends have? A new game, cool sneakers, or the latest phone, and felt that little tug? That feeling like you need it too just to fit in? It's a powerful pull, isn't it? This urge to match what others have, especially our friends. We call it keeping up with the Joneses, but really, it's just keeping up with our pals. It makes us believe that if we don't have the same things, we might somehow be less or less accepted. And here's the thing. This belief often pushes us to spend money we don't really have on things we don't really need. This isn't a new feeling, by the way. Humans have always wanted to belong. Think about tribes in ancient times. Being part of the group was key to survival. If everyone in the tribe wore certain animal skins or carried a specific tool, you'd want to too. Not just for looks, but because it showed you were part of the team, you were safe. Our brains are still wired for that. We still want to feel accepted, to be part of the group. But now, instead of animal skins, it's about brands and gadgets. It's about fitting in, but in a way that often costs a lot of money. Imagine a group of friends who all decide to get the newest, most expensive video game console. You might not even be that interested in video games, or maybe you already have a perfectly good one. But seeing them all talk about it, plan game nights, and share their progress can make you feel left out. It's a bit like a flock of birds. When one bird starts flying in a certain direction, the others often follow. They don't want to get separated from the group. For us, the direction is often towards something new and shiny, something that costs money. And this can happen even if your old console works just fine, or if you'd rather spend your time doing something else entirely. The pressure isn't spoken, not directly. It's a quiet pull, a fear of missing out on shared experiences, a worry about being seen as different. But here's what I found. True friendship isn't built on shared possessions. It's built on shared laughs, shared secrets, shared experiences that don't cost a fortune. It's about being there for each other, listening, understanding. Think about the best times you've had with your friends. Were they really about the newest stuff you bought? Or were they about the fun you created together, the stories you made? Money can buy things, but it can't buy real connection. And trying to keep up with everyone else, always chasing the next thing, can leave your wallet empty and your mind tired. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to simply be yourself with what you have, and trust that your true friends will see past the stuff and appreciate you. It's a gentle reminder that what truly fills your life with richness isn't found in a store, but in the people by your side. Have you ever looked at a tiny piece of something, a single grain of sand, a small drop of water, and thought, that doesn't matter much? Most of us do. It's easy to believe that little things, especially small purchases, don't really add up to anything important. $1 here, $2 there. They feel tiny. They vanish into your day without much thought. But here's the thing, and it's a deep truth about how the world works. Those small buys don't just add up, they add up big time. This is one of the most powerful and often hidden lies we believe about money. We think only big decisions, like buying a car or a house, matter. But it's the quiet, consistent choices that shape our future, often more than the loud, obvious ones. Think about how a river carves a canyon. It's not one giant rush of water that does it. It's countless drops, over thousands and thousands of years. Each drop is so small, so weak, it seems to do nothing. But the constant, steady flow of those tiny drops, repeating over and over, has the power to reshape the very earth. That's the force we're talking about here. The quiet power of consistency. Ancient thinkers knew this. They talked about how big journeys begin with tiny steps, or how a single good habit, repeated daily, can build a strong life. It's the same with your money. Let's bring that idea to your daily life. Maybe it's that cold drink you grab after school, or the snack from the store. Perhaps it's a small in-game purchase, just a few dollars, that feels like nothing. Let's imagine it's just $2, and you do it 3 times a week. That's $6 a week. Not much, right? But here's what happens when those tiny drops keep falling. In 1 month, that's about $24. Over a year, that's almost $300. From just $2, 3 times a week, that's real money. That's enough to buy a decent bike, or start a savings account, or get some new tech. The truth is, it's not just about the money itself. It's about understanding the quiet, steady power of your choices. Each small buy is a small decision, and those decisions, when repeated, become habits. And habits, over time, become your future. Just like those countless drops of water, your small daily spending creates a flow. That flow can either slowly drain away your money, or it can be redirected to build something meaningful, something bigger than you might imagine. This isn't about feeling guilty for buying a treat. It's about awareness. It's about seeing the hidden forces at play in your life. It's about recognizing that every single choice, no matter how small, has a quiet power. So, the next time you consider a small purchase, just pause for a moment. Not to stop yourself, but to simply see. To see how that tiny drop might add to a river, and to think about where you want your river to flow. That understanding, that quiet awareness, is a powerful thing to carry with you. Have you ever looked at your wallet, or your bank balance, and wondered where all the money went? Not the big stuff, like a new game system, or a concert ticket. I mean the small stuff. The few dollars here, the few dollars there. It feels like just a few dollars. It feels like nothing important. But then, poof, it's gone. Where does it go? Here's the thing. This isn't just about losing track of your change. This is about a much deeper idea. It's about how small things, when they happen over and over, can become huge. Think of it like a tiny drip from a faucet. One drop isn't much. You might not even notice it. But if that faucet drips all day, every day, what happens? Soon, you have a puddle, then a bucket, and eventually, a whole lot of wasted water. Your money can work the same way. Each small spend is a little drip. For a long time, people have understood this idea. Ancient thinkers and wise elders from different cultures often talked about being careful with small things. They knew that big fortunes weren't usually lost in one huge mistake. Instead, they often slipped away, little by little. It's like the saying, a penny saved is a penny earned. That's not just about saving a single penny. It's about respecting every penny, every dollar, no matter how small it seems. They understood that constant small actions build up. Let's think about a daily example. Maybe you grab a snack from the vending machine at school, a bag of chips, a soda. That might be $3. $3 isn't a lot, right? You probably don't even think about it. But what if you do that every school day, 5 days a week, for a whole school year, which is about 36 weeks? Let's do some quick math. $3 times 5 days is $15 a week. $15 a week times 36 weeks. That's $540 just for snacks. See how fast it adds up? That's more than enough for a new video game system, or a decent new bike, or even some cool clothes you really wanted. This isn't about saying snacks are bad. It's about seeing how tiny choices build up. This is a bit like how erosion works in nature. A tiny bit of wind, a small drop of rain. On their own, they seem to do nothing to a big rock. But over years and years, those tiny bits of wind and rain can carve out canyons. Huge, deep canyons, just from small, constant forces. Your money and your habits with it can be like that. Each choice, no matter how small, adds to something bigger. It shapes your financial landscape little by little. So, the next time you spend just a few dollars, pause for a moment. Don't stress or feel bad, just be curious. Ask yourself, where is this going? What could this small amount become if I made a different choice? It's not about being cheap, it's about being aware. It's about seeing the power in every single dollar, even the ones that seem too small to matter. Because those small dollars, added together, hold the power to change your future in surprising ways. And that's why it matters. Have you ever walked past a store window and seen a big bright sale sign? Maybe it said 70% off or limited time offer? Did you feel a little pull, like you just had to go inside? That quick feeling that you might miss out on something amazing? Here's the thing about sales. They're not always about saving you money. Often, they're about how people think and feel. Think about it this way. For a very long time, people have been trading things. Back in ancient times, in bustling markets, a seller wanted to get the most for their goods, and a buyer wanted to pay the least. It was a dance. But humans also have this deep desire for things that are special or hard to get. We also love a good bargain. That feeling of getting something for less than its true value is powerful. It makes us feel smart, like we won't be left behind. This isn't new. It's built into how our minds work. So, how do sales play into this? Imagine a store that sells awesome, trendy sneakers. They put up a sign, flash sale, 50% off for the next 2 hours only. You've wanted those sneakers. Now, suddenly, they're half price, but only for a very short time. Your mind might start rushing. I need them now. This is my chance. But is it really? Or is it just a clever way to make you feel like you have to buy them right now without thinking too much? Maybe the store owner bought those shoes for a very low price to begin with. Maybe they raised the original price just to put a big sale sticker on it later. Here's how it works in our brains. When we see a sale, our mind focuses on the discount part, not always on whether we actually need the item, or if the original price was ever real. It's like a small trick played on our sense of urgency. Our brains are wired to pay attention to scarcity. When something is limited, we think it's more valuable. So, a limited time sale taps into that old, deep part of us. It makes us act fast, sometimes without truly looking at the long-term picture or our actual budget. We might buy something we don't really want or need, just because it felt like a good deal at the moment. So, the next time you see that big sale sign, just pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, do I truly need this? Will I use it? Is this price actually good for me right now? Or am I just reacting to the bright red numbers? Understanding this isn't about never buying anything on sale. It's about being in control of your own choices. It's about remembering that the best deal is always the one that truly serves you, not the one that just feels urgent. It's about choosing with a calm mind, not just reacting to a fleeting feeling. Have you ever noticed how much we like feeling comfortable? It's a natural thing. After a long week or a tough day at school, what do we often want? To relax, to get something nice, to treat ourselves. Maybe it's new shoes, or that extra large soda, or hours of video games. It feels good in the moment, doesn't it? It's like a soft blanket on a chilly morning. But here's the thing. Always chasing comfort, always treating yourself, can have a hidden cost. And it's not just about the money you spend. It's deeper than that. Think about people a very long time ago. Like really, really long ago. Our ancestors didn't have comfy chairs or instant food. They had to work hard just to survive. They walked everywhere. hands. Discomfort was just a part of life. And in some ways, that made them incredibly strong and clever. They learned to solve problems because they had to. Even some old thinkers, like a group called the Stoics from ancient Greece and Rome, thought about this. They weren't against comfort, but they believed that true strength came from not needing comfort all the time. They thought that if you could be happy even without all the fancy things, you would be truly free. They'd sometimes choose simple living, not because they were poor, but to prove to themselves that they didn't need endless comfort to feel good. It's a lot like a muscle. Imagine you have a strong arm, but you only ever use it to lift light things, or you always use a machine to do the heavy work for you. That muscle might look okay, but it won't truly get stronger. It won't adapt. It won't learn its full power. But if you sometimes lift heavier things, or carry your own backpack, or even just walk up the stairs, instead of taking the elevator, your muscles have to work. They groan a little, they get tired, but then they grow, they get tougher, and they can do more. Your mind works in a similar way. When we always choose the easiest path, when we always go for the quick comfort, we might stop ourselves from growing. Maybe you want to buy the latest video game, but if you save that money instead, you could learn about investing, or put it towards something bigger later. Maybe you want to scroll on your phone for hours, but if you pick up a book instead, you could learn something new or imagine a different world. The cost of comfort isn't just money spent. It's also the skills you don't build, the challenges you don't overcome, and the strength you don't discover within yourself. It's like a soft cage. It feels nice inside, but it keeps you from flying. So, the idea isn't that comfort is bad. It's a sweet reward sometimes. But when we always pick the easy way, when we always treat ourselves to avoid any struggle, we might miss out on becoming truly stronger, wiser, and even happier in ways that money can't buy. Is saving money just for grown-ups? For people with jobs and bills and serious grown-up worries? It often feels that way, doesn't it? Like saving is this big, important adult task that you'll just magically understand when you're older. But what if that's one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves? One that keeps us from something truly powerful. Here's the thing. Saving isn't about how much money you have right now. It's about a way of thinking, a quiet act of power. It's about choosing what you want later over what you want right now. Think of it like this. Every time you decide to keep $1 instead of spending it, you're not just holding on to money. You're building a bridge to your future self. You're giving your future self more options, more freedom, more peace. This idea isn't new. It's as old as time, really. Imagine people thousands of years ago. They knew winter was coming. They didn't just eat every berry and every grain they found in the summer. No, they saved. They stored food. Not because they were rich, but because they understood foresight. They understood that today's effort could make tomorrow easier, or even possible. It wasn't about being an adult in the way we think of it. It was about being wise, about taking care of yourself and your community. The Roman philosopher Seneca once wrote about how we should live as if we are always preparing for the future, storing up not just wealth, but wisdom and calm. Saving in this way is like a small act of wisdom, a way to prepare for your own personal winter. Think about something simpler, something you do every day. Imagine you have a favorite video game, and there's a new, really cool skin or upgrade you want. It costs a certain amount of in-game currency. You could spend all your currency right now on small, temporary things. A new hat, a different color for your character. Or you could decide to save that currency, little by little, until you have enough for that big, exciting upgrade. It takes patience. It takes not giving in to the urge to buy something small right away. But when you finally get that upgrade, the feeling is so much better, isn't it? It's not just about the thing itself. It's about the satisfaction of planning, waiting, and achieving. Saving money works the same way. It's like building something important, brick by brick. Each dollar you save is like another brick in the foundation of your future. You might not see the whole building yet, but every brick makes it stronger. And the earlier you start, the more bricks you can lay down. Those small amounts, over time, become something surprisingly big, like a tiny sapling growing into a mighty oak tree. It's slow, but it's steady, and the end result is a powerful, rooted presence that can withstand storms. So don't wait until you're old enough. Don't believe the lie that saving is only for adults. Saving is for anyone who wants to have more choices tomorrow than they have today. It's for anyone who wants a little more calm, a little more control over their own path. It's a quiet strength, a gentle way of saying to your future self, I've got you. I'm building something good for us. And that's a profound feeling, no matter your age. Have you ever looked at a few dollars or some loose change and thought, what's the point of saving this? It's not enough to matter? It's a common thought, a whisper in your mind that says, you need a huge amount of money to even bother saving. This idea that you must have a lot of money to start saving is one of the biggest lies we often believe. It's a lie that can keep us from ever starting. The truth is, every single penny, every single dollar really does count. Here's the thing. Saving isn't about how much you start with. It's about starting. It's about consistency. Think of it like building anything big. Would you try to build a towering structure by just dropping one giant block on the ground and calling it done? No, you start with one small brick, then another, then another. Each one by itself might seem small and unimportant, but placed together, day after day, they become something strong and meaningful. People throughout history have understood this deep truth, even long before banks existed. Ancient sayings from different cultures, passed down through generations, often talk about the power of small, consistent actions. They didn't have complex financial systems, but they knew that a tiny leak could sink a big ship, or that a single grain of rice, collected daily, could eventually fill a barrel. There's an old idea that a long journey starts with a single step. It's the same with saving money. That first dollar, that first coin, is your first step. Think about how a massive canyon is formed. It wasn't blasted open by one huge explosion. It was carved, slowly, patiently, by the endless flow of water, tiny droplets joining together, day after day, year after year. Each drop might seem powerless on its own, but together, over time, they can change the entire landscape. Your savings work in a similar way. Those small amounts, added up consistently, build a powerful force. It's not magic. It's just how things in the world tend to grow. So, when you see a few dollars or loose change, instead of thinking it's too little to save, remember the single drop of water, the single brick, the single grain of rice. Those small amounts are not insignificant. They are the seeds of something bigger. They are the start of a journey. Understanding this isn't just about money. It's a lesson about patience, about persistence, and about the quiet power found in the smallest, most consistent efforts in our lives. It teaches us to value the small beginnings, because that's where all great things truly start. Have you ever felt stuck, like you had to do something or go somewhere, not because you wanted to, but because you had no other choice? That feeling of having no options. Here's the thing. When we talk about saving money, it often sounds incredibly boring. It's about not spending, about putting things away for some far-off, unexciting future. But what if that quiet act of saving is actually about building freedom? Think about it this way. For a long, long time, humans have understood something deep about gathering and keeping. Imagine people living thousands of years ago. They didn't have banks or savings accounts, but they knew how to save. They'd gather extra berries in the summer and dry them for winter. They'd keep some seeds from the harvest, not eating them all, so they could plant next year. This wasn't about getting rich. It was about making sure they weren't trapped when times got hard. It was about having choices, even just the choice to eat or to grow food again. That simple act of holding on to something, instead of using it all at once, meant the difference between being dependent and being free. It's the same idea with money today. When you save, you're not just piling up numbers in an account. You're storing up future choices. You're building a kind of personal strength. Imagine a squirrel in autumn. It doesn't eat every single nut it finds right away. It gathers them, buries them, and saves them. This might seem like boring work for the squirrel, right? No immediate reward, just digging and hiding. But those buried nuts aren't just food. They are the squirrel's freedom from hunger when winter snows cover everything. They are its quiet promise of survival. The squirrel isn't rich, it's simply prepared. It has options. Your savings work the same way. That money isn't just sitting there doing nothing. It's like those stored nuts. It's like the dried berries for winter. It's like the extra seeds for next spring. It gives you room to breathe. It gives you the power to say no to a situation that feels wrong. Or yes, to an unexpected opportunity that could change your path. Maybe it's the chance to learn something new, or to help someone you care about. Maybe it's just the simple peace of mind that comes from knowing you have a cushion. Saving isn't about being stingy. It's about building a quiet, strong foundation for your life. It's about not being cornered by sudden needs or pressured by others' expectations. It's about having space to choose your own way. It's about truly owning your future, one small, unboring choice at a time. It's the secret strength of quiet independence. Have you ever heard someone say, "Oh, you're too young to worry about money. Just enjoy life"? It's a common idea, almost like a friendly suggestion. But here's the thing. This idea, meant to be comforting, can actually be one of the biggest lies you'll hear about money. It hints that there's some magical age when it's okay to start thinking about your future. But before that, it's just a waste of time. The truth is, when it comes to saving money, it is never too early to begin. This isn't about becoming a millionaire by next year. It's about understanding something quiet but powerful. The idea that small things, given enough time, can become incredibly big. Imagine a tiny acorn. It's so small you could hold it in your hand. But if you plant it, and time passes, and it gets water and sunlight, that little acorn doesn't just grow a little bit. It grows into a massive, towering oak tree that can stand for hundreds of years. The growth doesn't happen overnight, but the small beginning is everything. People have understood this idea for a long, long time. Ancient thinkers, long before bank accounts existed, talked about planting seeds for the future. They knew that a farmer doesn't wait until harvest day to start working. He prepares the soil, plants the seeds, and tends to them, knowing that the real reward comes much later. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, as an old saying goes. It's a simple wisdom. Big achievements are usually just a lot of small actions, repeated over and over. Think of it like building a sandcastle at the beach. You don't start with a giant, perfect castle. You start with one bucket of sand, then another, then another. Each bucket isn't much on its own, but if you keep adding them patiently for a long time, you can build something truly impressive. That first bucket of sand, that first decision to put a little bit aside, that's what matters most. It's not about how much sand is in the first bucket. It's about putting it down at all and then keeping going. The earlier you place that first bucket, the more time you have to keep adding to it, and the bigger and stronger your castle can become. So, when someone tells you it's too early to save, remember the acorn, remember the sandcastle. They're telling you to wait, to delay. But time is your most valuable helper when it comes to money. The quiet power of starting early means you don't have to save huge amounts to see big results down the road. It means giving your future self a gift, bit by bit, starting now. It's a gentle act of hope, a belief in tomorrow, and a simple, powerful step toward building a strong foundation for your life, one small piece at a time. Have you ever gotten some money, maybe allowance or birthday cash, and thought, "I'll save what's left after I buy what I want"? It sounds like a good idea, right? Like you were being responsible. But here's the thing. Most of the time, when you try to save what's left, there's nothing left. It's like magic, but not the good kind. The money just vanishes. This idea that you can just save whatever happens to be around at the end is one of those big lies. It keeps you from ever really getting ahead. Think about it. If you spend first, you're letting your wants right now control your future. You're giving away your power, and that's a problem. For a long, long time, people have known this. Ancient thinkers, even before modern banks, understood that planning was key. They didn't have savings accounts, but they knew about planting seeds for next season or storing food for winter. It wasn't about eating everything today and hoping something was left for tomorrow. It was about putting aside a portion first. It was about deciding, this much I will set aside for later. This wasn't just a smart idea. It was how groups of people survived and grew strong. They understood that you had to take care of tomorrow, today. Here's an idea that might help. Imagine you have a big school project due at the end of the week. It's important. It's worth a lot of points. Now, you could say, I'll do the project if I have time left after playing games, watching shows, and hanging out. What usually happens? You run out of time. You end up rushing it, or not doing it well. The leftover time disappears. But what if, at the start of the week, you decided, okay, every day after school, I will spend 30 minutes on this project before I do anything else fun. You're deciding what's important first. You're setting aside that time for your future success. You're making a plan and sticking to it. You're not saving leftover time. You're building in time for what matters. Money works the same way. When you get money, the smarter move is to decide right then, okay, a part of this money is for my future. Maybe it's for something big, like college, or something smaller, like a new game you really want but can't buy right away. You set that money aside first. You put it in a separate spot. It's not about how much you save, but that you do save, and that you do it on purpose from the very start. This way of thinking, of putting your future first, isn't about being rich. It's about being in charge. It's about taking control of your choices instead of letting your choices control you. It brings a kind of calm feeling, knowing you're making smart moves for yourself. It's like planting a tiny seed today, knowing that one day it will grow into something strong and helpful. It's a quiet promise you make to your future self that you've got their back. We often hear that debt is a bad word. It sounds heavy, like a burden or a chain. We picture people struggling under its weight, unable to breathe. But is debt always this monster that just takes and never gives? Is there a way it can actually help us, or even lift us up? Here's the thing about that. It's not always a villain. It's more like a tool. And like any tool, its power depends on how you use it. Think about a hammer. In the right hands, it can build a strong, beautiful house. In the wrong hands, it can cause a lot of damage. Debt is a bit like that. For a long, long time, people have borrowed things. Even way back, thousands of years ago, people didn't have banks or credit cards, but they still lent and borrowed. A farmer might borrow seeds from a neighbor in spring, promising to pay back more seeds after the harvest. This wasn't bad debt. It was a way to help the farmer grow food for everyone. It was a way to start something new, something that would produce more. The debt was like an investment in the future. It helped the whole community. People borrowed money to build roads, to start trade, even to create big, important buildings. These were debts that led to growth, to making things better. Imagine you want to bake a special cake for a family celebration. You have most of the ingredients, but you're missing a key one, maybe some fancy chocolate. You don't have enough money right now to buy it. So, your older cousin, who trusts you, loans you the money for that chocolate. You buy it, bake the cake, and it's a huge hit. Everyone loves it. When you get your allowance next week, you pay your cousin back. That small loan, that little bit of debt, wasn't a problem. It was the thing that made the cake possible. It helped you create something good and share it. It was a temporary step that led to something positive. The key is what you use the borrowed money for. If you borrow money to buy things that lose value quickly, like a video game you'll stop playing in a month, or candy you'll eat right away, that debt can become a problem. It doesn't help you grow or earn more. It just gives you a quick moment of happiness, then leaves you with a bill. But if you borrow money for something that helps you learn, or helps you make more money in the future, that's different. It's like planting those seeds. It has the chance to grow into something much bigger and more valuable than what you borrowed. So, when we think about debt, we shouldn't just think bad. We should think purpose. Why are we taking on this debt? What will it help us build? Will it grow our future, or just pay for a passing moment? Understanding this helps us see debt not as a fixed evil, but as a path. It's a path we can choose to walk wisely or foolishly. The power and the choice is always ours. Have you ever heard someone say that using a credit card is like getting free money? Maybe you've seen ads showing people happily buying things without thinking about how they'll pay. It can look pretty easy, right? Just swipe the card and what you want is yours. But here's the thing. That idea that credit cards offer free money is one of the biggest lies out there. A credit card isn't magic. It's not a gift from a generous bank. What it actually is a small, short-term loan. When you use your credit card, you're not spending your own money that's sitting in your bank account. Instead, you're borrowing money from the bank. And like any loan, that money usually has to be paid back. But it's not just the money you borrowed. There's often an extra charge called interest. This interest is like a fee for borrowing the money. It's how the bank makes its profit. So, if you borrow $100 and don't pay it back quickly, you might end up owing $105 or even $110. That extra money is the interest. People have been borrowing and lending money for thousands of years. Think about ancient times. If a farmer needed seeds but didn't have enough money, they might borrow from a neighbor. The neighbor would expect those seeds back, maybe with a little extra produce as a thank you, or as a way to cover their own risk. It was a clear, personal agreement. You knew who you owed. As societies grew and trade became bigger, this idea of lending money got more complex. Banks came along to handle these larger transactions. Credit cards are just the latest step in this long history. They make borrowing super easy and super fast, but the basic idea hasn't changed. It's still about taking something now and promising to pay it back later, usually with an extra cost. Imagine you're really thirsty on a hot day. Someone offers you a super cold, delicious soda. They say, "Here, you can have this now, but you owe me 2 sodas next week." If you just take the soda without thinking about the 2 sodas next week part, it feels free at the moment, right? You get to enjoy it right away. But when next week comes, and you have to give up 2 of your sodas instead of just 1, that's the moment you realize it wasn't free at all. In fact, it cost you extra. That extra soda is like the interest on a credit card. It's the hidden cost of getting what you want right now instead of waiting. So when you hold a credit card, don't think of it as a magic card that prints money. Think of it as a tool, like a shovel or a hammer. It can be useful, for sure. It can help you buy something important when you don't have the cash right away, or in emergencies. But if you don't use it carefully, it can dig you into a very deep hole. Understanding that a credit card is a loan, not free money, changes how you see it. It makes you think twice. It means you're not just buying something, you're entering into an agreement, a promise to pay. And that promise, when you keep it, is a powerful thing. But when it's broken or not understood, it can weigh you down. Knowing this simple truth about credit cards can help you make smarter choices, not just with money, but with all kinds of promises you make in life. Have you ever wanted something so much? A new game, a cool pair of shoes, or maybe a concert ticket that you just couldn't wait to get it? It's a very common feeling, isn't it? To want what you don't have right now. Sometimes, when we don't have enough money for something we truly want, we might think about borrowing, maybe from a parent, a friend, or, as you get older, from a bank or a store. And that leads us to a quiet, powerful idea called interest. Here's the thing about interest. When you borrow money, it's not really free. It's like renting money from someone else. And just like you pay rent for a house or an apartment, you pay a small fee for using someone else's money. That extra money you pay back, on top of what you borrowed, is called interest. It's the cost of getting what you want now, instead of waiting and saving for it. And the tricky part is, this cost doesn't stay still. It can grow over time. People have been borrowing and lending for thousands of years. Long, long ago, in ancient villages, someone might have borrowed seeds to plant their crops, promising to return more seeds after the harvest. Or perhaps a farmer needed a tool and would give back the tool plus a little extra, like a chicken or some grain, as a thank you for the help. The idea of a little extra for the risk or the wait has always been part of human dealings. Sometimes, people thought it was fair. Other times, they worried it was unfair to make money just from lending money itself, rather than from work or goods. Philosophers and thinkers throughout history have debated whether charging interest was right or wrong, but the practice, in some form, has stuck around. Now imagine a tiny snowball sitting at the very top of a long, gentle hill. You give it just a little nudge, a very small push. As it starts to roll down, it picks up more snow. It gets bigger, it gets heavier, and And the bigger it gets, the more snow it can collect, making it even larger and faster as it rolls. That's a bit like how interest can work, especially when you don't pay back what you owe quickly. The small amount of extra money starts to gather its own extra money, and soon, what seemed like a small debt can grow into something much, much bigger than you first imagined. It's not just the original amount you borrowed anymore. It's the original amount plus all the little bits of extra that have joined it over time. So, when you hear the phrase, "I'll pay it back later," it sounds easy, doesn't it? But later often means more. It means that quiet, steady force of interest has more time to do its work, to grow that snowball of debt bigger. It's not a scary magic, but a simple truth about how money and time are connected. Understanding this truth is like learning a hidden rule of the world. It helps you see that waiting, saving, and making thoughtful choices about money are not just about being smart. They are about understanding the deep, quiet power of time itself. It's about being truly free to choose, rather than letting the snowball of later roll over your plans. Have you ever heard someone say that all debt is bad? It's a common thought, a feeling many people share. We're taught to avoid owing money, to pay things off quickly, and to save. And for a lot of reasons, that's smart advice. Most times, taking on debt means buying something that loses value, like a car, or something you just use up, like food or clothes. But what if there was a different kind of debt, one that could actually help you grow and become more? Here's the thing. Not all debt is created equal. Some debt, when used wisely, can be an investment in yourself, a way to build a stronger future. Think about student loans. They are money you borrow to pay for college or other training after high school. And yes, you have to pay it back, usually with some extra money called interest. But here's why people sometimes call it good debt. It's money put towards getting an education. Education isn't like a new pair of shoes that wear out, or a video game you eventually stop playing. It's knowledge, skills, and ways of thinking that stay with you forever. It's an investment in your brain, in your ability to understand the world, and in what you can offer to it. For hundreds of years, long before student loans even existed, people understood the power of learning. Ancient philosophers in Greece walked and talked with their students, sharing wisdom that shaped whole civilizations. Communities in every corner of the world built places for teaching and learning. From small village schools to grand universities, they knew that when people learned, they didn't just get smarter, they also got better at solving problems, creating new things, and making life better for everyone around them. It was always about growing, about becoming someone who could contribute more. And that's why it matters today. Student loans are a modern tool, a bridge that helps many people cross from where they are now to a future where they have more knowledge, more chances, and more choices. Imagine a tiny seed. It doesn't look like much, does it? But you take that seed and you give it water, sunlight, and good soil. You invest in it. This is like taking on a student loan. You're putting resources into something small with the belief that it will grow into something much bigger and more valuable. That seed, with your care, can become a strong tree that offers shade, fruit, and even wood for building. Your education is like that tree. The debt is the water and soil you put in at the beginning. It helps you grow into a person with more skills, more understanding, and more opportunities. And that can help you earn more money later, yes, but it also helps you find work that truly interests you, work that feels meaningful. So, when you hear about student loans, try not to just think of them as a burden. See them as a choice. A choice to invest in your own journey, to plant a seed that can grow into something beautiful and strong. It's about understanding what you are borrowing for and how it can help you become the person you are meant to be. It's a deep and quiet commitment to your own growth, a belief in the potential you carry inside you. It's not just about money, it's about becoming. Have you ever looked at pictures of big fancy buildings or seen movies where people in suits talk about millions of dollars and thought, that's investing, that's not for me, that's only for super rich people? It's easy to feel that way. For a long time, the world of investing seemed hidden behind tall walls, open only to those who already had a lot of money and secret knowledge. But here's the thing. That idea is one of the biggest lies that keeps everyday people from building a better future. Think about it this way. Investing, at its heart, is a very simple idea. It's just planting a seed. You take something small today, a little bit of money, and you put it somewhere. It can grow over time. You let it sit there, cared for by time and patience, hoping it will become something much bigger tomorrow. This isn't a new, fancy idea for the wealthy. It's as old as human foresight itself. Farmers, hundreds of years ago, didn't just eat all their harvest. They saved some seeds to plant for next year, knowing that tiny handful of seeds held the promise of a much larger crop later. That was their form of investing. Craftsmen bought tools, not just for today's work, but so they could make more things, better things, for years to come. That was their investment. The idea that investing is only for the rich is like saying learning is only for geniuses. It's just not true. Everyone can learn, and everyone can invest. The rich certainly do invest, and they invest a lot. But they often started small, just like anyone else. The difference is they understand the power of time and consistent effort. Imagine a small snowball. You roll it down a hill. At first, it's just a tiny ball of snow. But as it rolls, it picks up more snow, getting bigger and bigger, faster and faster. It doesn't become a giant snowball overnight. It needs time, and it needs to keep rolling. Investing works a lot like that. Even if you start with a small amount of money, like the size of your allowance or a few dollars saved from a part-time job, and you put it into something that grows, that small amount can become much bigger over time. This magic isn't actually magic. It's called compound growth, where your money starts making money, and that new money starts making more money, like a snowball getting bigger on its own. This isn't about getting rich quick or suddenly having a yacht. It's about quiet strength and slow, steady growth. It's about understanding that the seeds you plant today, even tiny ones, can eventually grow into a forest that provides shade and shelter for your future. It's about knowing that you don't need a secret handshake or a huge bank account to start. All you need is the belief that your future self deserves a little bit more, and the patience to let those tiny seeds do their work. It's a journey everyone can begin, a silent act of faith in your own tomorrow. Have you ever heard someone say that investing is just like gambling? Maybe you've thought it yourself. It's an easy mistake to make because, on the surface, both seem to involve putting something valuable at risk, hoping for more in return. But here's the thing. While both have risk, they are really very different journeys. One is about pure chance, and the other is about understanding and patience. Think about a coin toss. You flip a coin, and you have no idea if it will land on heads or tails. It's 50/50ths. You can't study the coin or practice flipping it to make it land how you want. That's gambling. It's often about a quick thrill, a moment of luck, or a sudden loss. It's about random outcomes you can't control or predict. People have always been drawn to the idea of instant riches, from ancient games of chance with dice and bones to today's lottery tickets. That desire for a quick win is powerful, but it doesn't build anything lasting. Now, imagine you're building a complex Lego castle. You start with a pile of pieces, just like an investor starts with money. You don't just throw the pieces in the air and hope a castle lands perfectly. That would be like gambling. Instead, you look at the instructions. You understand how the pieces fit together. You choose specific bricks for specific places. You carefully put them together, brick by brick, over time. It takes effort, knowledge, and patience. If you follow the steps, your castle will slowly take shape and grow. That's more like investing. Investing isn't about hoping for a lucky break tomorrow. It's about choosing something you believe has real value, something that helps the world or solves problems, and then giving it time to grow. When you invest in a company, you're basically saying, I believe in what you're doing, and I think you'll be more valuable in the future. It's like planting a tiny acorn. You don't plant it and expect an oak tree to pop up overnight. You know it needs sun, water, and many years to become something huge and strong. The difference comes down to knowledge and time. With gambling, you often have little to no real control over the outcome, and it's usually over quickly. With investing, you do research, you make educated choices, and you understand that growth takes time. You're not just guessing, you're making a considered choice based on how things work in the world. It's about believing in the future, understanding how things grow, and having the patience to let them. And that's why it matters. One path relies on luck, and the other relies on understanding the way the world works, little by little, day by day. Have you ever thought that investing money is only for math geniuses or people with fancy degrees? Maybe you think you need a brain like a supercomputer just to understand it. Here's the thing. That idea itself is one of the biggest lies keeping regular people from building a better future. The truth is, investing isn't about being smart in a way that's hard to reach. It's about being smart enough to learn some basic rules. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, people have always found ways to make what they have grow. Imagine a farmer long ago. They didn't have banks or stocks, but they understood that if they saved some seeds from their harvest and planted them carefully, those few seeds would become many more plants. They put a little bit of today's work into something that would give them more in the future. That's the oldest form of investing. It wasn't about being a genius, but about understanding how things grow and having the patience to let it happen. It was simple wisdom. The same idea holds true today. Investing feels complicated because big words get thrown around and charts look confusing. But at its heart, it's still like planting a seed. You put a small amount of money into something that has the chance to grow over time. Maybe it's a company that makes shoes you wear or the phone you use every day. You become a tiny owner of that company. And if that company does well, your small piece of it grows in value too. It's a lot like learning to ride a bike. When you first start, it seems impossible. You wobble, you fall, you think you'll never get it. But nobody expects you to win a race on your first try. You start with training wheels, right? You learn to balance, to pedal, to steer. You learn the basic parts, the brakes, the gears. You don't need to be an engineer to ride a bike. You just need to understand those simple actions, practice them, and keep going. Once you master the basics, riding becomes second nature, and you can go anywhere. Investing is the same. You don't need to predict the future or solve complex math problems. You just need to learn the basics. What a stock is, what a bond is, why it's good to start early, and why it's smart to spread your money around instead of putting it all in one place. These are like the training wheels of investing. They are simple ideas, but they give you the balance you need. The real lie is that you need a special kind of smart. What you actually need is curiosity, patience, and the willingness to learn. It's about understanding simple truths, not complicated tricks. When you learn these basics, you gain a quiet power. You realize that the path to a more secure future isn't a secret locked away in a vault. It's a journey anyone can begin, simply by taking the first step and learning how to plant those financial seeds. And that's a wisdom anyone can find. Is there anything in life that doesn't hold some risk? Think about it. Every step, every choice, even just getting out of bed in the morning, has a tiny bit of unknown woven into it. When people talk about investing, they often stop right there. They hear the word risk and think it means danger. So they decide it's better to do nothing, to keep their money safe, tucked away, maybe under a mattress or in a simple savings account. But here's the thing about risk. It's not always bad, and ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just means you don't understand it. Investing, simply put, is putting your money into something today, hoping it grows into more money tomorrow. It could be buying a piece of a company or helping a new idea get started. Yes, there's a chance you could lose money. That's the risk part. But there's also a chance to gain a lot. People have faced risk for thousands of years. Before there were banks, imagine ancient sailors setting out across unknown seas. Was it risky? Absolutely. They could hit a storm, or get lost, or never come back. But staying on the shore meant never finding new lands, new trade routes, new ways to live. So they learned to read the stars, to understand the currents, to build stronger ships. They didn't remove the risk of the sea. They understood it. They knew what they were getting into. This kind of knowing changed fear into something else, a deep respect for the journey. It's like the old saying, a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. Think about learning to ride a skateboard. When you first step on, the risk. But you don't just give up. You learn. You watch how others balance. You try different ways to push off. You practice falling safely. You learn about the pavement, the wheels, your own balance. You start to understand the forces at play. You don't try to make skateboarding have no risk. That's impossible. Instead, you learn how to ride with the risk. You become good at it by understanding the wobbles, not by avoiding them. You learn to control what you can and accept what you can't. Knowing the risks of investing isn't about finding a way to make it perfectly safe. It's about understanding how the system works. It's about learning about different kinds of investments, what makes them go up or down. It's about knowing yourself, how much you can afford to lose, how long you're willing to wait for your money to grow. It's like the skateboarder who knows a certain trick is hard, but practices until they get it, understanding each tiny movement. When you know the risks, you can make smarter choices. You can choose investments that match your comfort level, not just guess or be paralyzed by fear. You might spread your money across different things, so if one goes down, others might go up. This is called diversification, not putting all your eggs in one basket. It's a way to manage risk, not remove it. So, the lie isn't that investing has risks. That part is true. The lie is that risk always means danger you should avoid at all costs. Often, true safety isn't found in avoiding all challenges, but in facing them with knowledge. When we understand the risks, we don't just stay safe, we also open ourselves up to growth. We step beyond the harbor and begin to truly move, truly live, truly learn. It's a way of looking at the world, not just money. It's about being curious, asking questions, and understanding the things that make us feel uncertain. Because when we understand, fear often shrinks, and something else takes its place. A quiet confidence. Have you ever wondered if there's a secret path to becoming rich really fast? Maybe you've seen videos or heard stories about people who made a ton of money almost overnight. It sounds exciting, doesn't it? The idea that you could skip all the hard work and just have everything you want right now. But here's the thing. That idea, the get-rich-quick fantasy, is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves about money. The truth is, real wealth isn't a sudden explosion. It's not a magic trick. It's more like a quiet, steady flow, building up little by little, over a long time. Think about the old story of the tortoise and the hare. The hare was fast and thought he could win the race easily, so he rushed ahead and then took a nap. But the tortoise, slow and steady, just kept moving forward, step by step, and in the end, he won. This isn't just a fairy tale. It's a deep truth about how things grow in the real world, especially with money. For centuries, wise people have understood this. They knew that lasting power and true comfort came from consistent effort, not sudden bursts. Imagine a giant old oak tree. It didn't just appear one morning. It started as a tiny acorn, barely noticeable. Then, slowly, over decades, sometimes even centuries, it put down deep roots, grew its trunk wider, and spread its branches. Each year, it grew a little more, adding a new ring inside its wood. That steady, patient growth is why it stands strong against storms. If you tried to make it grow overnight, it wouldn't last. It's the same with anything truly valuable you build in life. Think about learning to play an instrument, like a guitar or piano. You don't just pick it up and play like a master on the first day. You learn one note, then another. You practice chords. Your fingers get sore. You make mistakes. But if you keep practicing, day after day, week after week, slowly, your skill grows. You start to play simple songs, then harder ones. It's not about one huge practice session. It's about many small, consistent efforts. That's how you get good. That's how real skill and real wealth are built. This slower path might not seem as thrilling as the idea of quick riches, but it brings a deeper kind of peace. It's about knowing that you're building something strong, something that can last. It's about learning patience and understanding that the journey itself holds value. It's about appreciating the small steps and trusting the process. And when you finally reach a comfortable place, you'll know it's because of your steady effort, not some sudden stroke of luck. This calm, steady way of building is what truly sets you free, giving you a quiet confidence that lasts. Did you ever ever stop and wonder why we spend so many years in school, learning about everything from ancient civilizations to complex science, but almost nothing about money? We learn about numbers, sure, and we learn how to read and write. But when it comes to understanding how money really works, how to earn it, save it, make it grow, or even just how to keep from losing it, that often isn't part of the lesson plan. It's a big question, isn't it? Because money touches nearly every part of our lives once we leave school. Here's the thing. Our school system, the way it's set up today, has deep roots. Think way back, hundreds of years ago. Schools weren't always for everyone. When more people started going, especially around the time of the Industrial Revolution, the goal was often to teach people to be good citizens and reliable workers. People needed to learn how to read instructions, follow rules, and be on time for a factory job. They needed basic math to count things, money management or investing, or understanding how banks really function. These weren't seen as school subjects. That kind of knowledge was usually passed down in families, or you just learned it out in the world by doing. And that system, that way of thinking about what schools should teach, largely stayed the same, even as the world around us completely changed. So, while you might be learning about atoms in science class, or the causes of a war in history, you're not typically learning how to read a bank statement, understand a loan, or create a simple budget for your own money. It's a bit like learning all the rules of a sport, studying the history of famous players, and understanding the physics of how a ball flies, but never actually stepping onto the field to play the game yourself. You know a lot about it, but you don't know how to do it. You have the theory, but not the practice, not the actual hands-on skill needed for the real world. That practical skill, that daily navigation of how money works in your own life, is often left for you to figure out on your own. This isn't to say school isn't important, or the teachers aren't doing amazing work. They are. It's just an observation about a quiet, overlooked gap in what we're prepared for. It means a huge part of your understanding about money, how it shapes your choices, and how it can help you build the life you want, won't come from textbooks or classroom lectures. That learning is usually up to you. It's about being curious, asking questions, and paying attention to things most people just skim over. It's a reminder that truly understanding money isn't something that's automatically given to you. It's something you seek out, something you learn for yourself, because it's a skill as vital as reading or writing for living a full and independent life. Have you ever thought about all the things your parents have taught you? From how to tie your shoes to how to treat other people, they are usually our very first teachers. They show us how the world works, how to stay safe, and how to make good choices. And when it comes to money, they try to do the same. They teach us about saving, maybe about earning an allowance, or how to be careful with what we spend. This is important, and it helps you get started. But here's the thing. While your parents teach you so much, they can't teach you everything about money. No one can. Think about it. The world today is very different from the world your parents grew up in. When your grandparents were young, most people worked in ways that were easy to understand. Someone worked at a factory, or on a farm, or in a store. Money came in a very direct way. People often learned about jobs and money right from their own families. A farmer's child became a farmer. A baker's child became a baker. The lessons about earning and spending were passed down, almost unchanged, for a long time. But today, things move so fast. New kinds of jobs appear all the time that didn't even exist 5 or 10 years ago. New ways to earn money, like online businesses or making content, are popping up constantly. The way we pay for things, the way we save, the way we invest, it's all changing pretty fast. Your parents' experiences, even though they're wise and valuable, come from their own time. They learned about money in a different economy, with different rules and different technologies. They might not know about every new app for investing, or every new online scam, or every new way people are making money online. And that's okay. It's not their fault. Think of it like exploring a new, huge library. Your parents might give you a map of the main sections. They tell you where the history books are, or the science books. They might even recommend some of their favorite stories. This map is super helpful, right? It stops you from getting totally lost. But they can't possibly tell you about every single book library. They can't tell you about the brand new books that just arrived this morning. They can't tell you which specific sentence in a dusty old book will suddenly make something click for you. To find those things, you have to start walking the aisles yourself. You have to pull books off shelves, open them up, and read. You have to follow your own curiosity. You might find a book about something they never even knew existed, and it might be exactly what you need. So, while your parents give you a strong foundation, the real journey of learning about money is one you have to take yourself. It's about staying curious, asking questions, and looking for answers even when no one is telling you what to do. It means reading, observing, and trying to understand how things work on your own. It's not about saying your parents are wrong or don't know enough. It's about understanding that learning is a never-ending path. And when it comes to something as important and ever-changing as money, becoming your own teacher is one of the most valuable lessons you can ever learn. It gives you the power to adapt, to grow, and to build a strong future, no matter how much the world changes around you. Does it ever feel like money is just a giant, tangled knot? Like grown-ups talk about it in secret codes, and you're just supposed to nod along? You hear words like investing, mortgage, interest rates, and it all sounds so far away, so confusing. And here's the thing, that feeling, that idea that money stuff is too hard for you to understand, that's one of the biggest lies out there. The truth is, money at its heart is incredibly simple. It's just a tool, always has been. Think way, way back thousands of years ago. People didn't have dollar bills or credit cards. If a farmer had extra corn and needed shoes, he'd trade his corn with a shoemaker. It was simple swapping. Value was clear. How much corn for a pair of shoes? That was the very first form of money, a way to exchange things that people needed or wanted. Then, slowly, it changed. People started using things like special shells, or salt, or pieces of metal that everyone agreed had value. This made trading easier, because you didn't have to find someone who wanted your exact corn. You could use shells to buy shoes, and the shoemaker could use those shells to buy something else. It was still simple, just a step removed from direct swapping. The idea was still about trust and agreement on value, and that's why it matters. But over hundreds of years, more layers got added. Banks popped up, then rules for loans, then big, complicated numbers and forms. It all started to look like a giant puzzle with too many pieces. Why did it get so complicated? Maybe because when things seem confusing, people often stop asking questions. They start thinking, oh, I'll just leave this to the experts. And that can keep regular people from understanding how the system truly works, or how to make it work for them. Think about a super complex video game. When you first start, the controls might seem impossible. Buttons everywhere, combos you can't remember. But here's what happened. You don't learn it all at once, right? You start with walking, then jumping, then a simple attack. You break it down. And slowly, those impossible combos become second nature. You realize the game isn't actually super complicated. It's just many simple actions put together in smart ways. The initial confusion was just a wall, not a true barrier. Money is a lot like that. The financial world can seem like a massive, confusing video game. But if you strip away the big words and the fancy terms, you find the basic, simple actions underneath. Earning, spending, saving, investing, giving. Each one is a simple button. The complexity, you see, is often just these simple buttons combined in different sequences, or given scary-sounding names. So, here's the calm thought to carry with you. You don't need a special brain to understand money. You just need curiosity. You need to be willing to look past the surface and ask, what's the simple thing happening here? Don't let the idea of complicated stop you from learning, because when you understand even the basic moves, you start to see the whole game differently. And that quiet understanding, that clear sight, is a powerful thing. It can give you freedom. Have you ever heard the saying, money is the root of all evil? It's a pretty heavy idea, isn't it? It makes money sound like something truly bad, something to be avoided, something that brings only trouble. But what if that idea itself is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, keeping us from understanding money better? What if money isn't evil at all? Here's the thing. Money itself isn't good or bad. It's just a tool. Think of it like a hammer. A hammer doesn't have feelings or intentions. It just exists. It can't decide on its own to do anything. Its purpose, whether good or bad, depends entirely on the person holding it and what they choose to do. This idea that money is somehow evil has been around for a long, long time. For thousands of years, people have worried about what money does to us. Even ancient thinkers talked about how wanting too much stuff or being obsessed with gaining more could change a person for the worse. The most famous version of this saying comes from the Bible. It says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." See the difference? It doesn't say money is evil. It says the love of money, meaning an obsession with it, or greed can lead to bad things. This small difference in words changes everything. It means the problem isn't the paper or the numbers in a bank account. The problem is what's in our hearts, what we choose to do with money. It's about our choices and our desires. Let's go back to our hammer. Imagine a carpenter. They pick up a hammer and use it to build a beautiful, strong house. This house will shelter a family, keep them warm and safe. The carpenter used the hammer to create something wonderful. Now, imagine someone else picks up that exact same hammer. They might use it to break a window, or worse, to hurt someone. Is the hammer evil in either of these cases? Number, it's the same hammer. Its impact, whether helpful or harmful, depended completely on the person using it and their intentions. Money is exactly like that hammer. It has no will of its own. It doesn't decide to do good or bad things. It's the people who use money and what they choose to use it for who make it a force for good or a source of trouble. Money is simply a way to exchange value. It allows us to get the things we need, to pay for an education, or to help others. It can build schools, fund medical research, or help a community recover after a disaster. But it can also, sadly, be used to cause harm, to fund selfish acts, or to create unfairness. The real power, then, doesn't lie in the money itself. It lies in us. It's about our choices. When we understand money as a tool, not as something inherently evil or automatically good, we can start to use it more thoughtfully. We can aim to use it for good, to make positive changes, and to support the things we truly value. It reminds us that the true evil isn't in a coin or a bill, but in the choices people make when they let greed or selfishness take over. It's about learning to be responsible with a powerful tool. Have you ever heard someone say, "All rich people are greedy"? It's a common idea, isn't it? We often hear stories in movies or books that make it seem like anyone with a lot of money must be selfish. But here's the thing. Is that truly fair? Is it really the money that makes someone greedy, or is something else at play? Greed is a powerful feeling. It's a deep hunger for more than you need, more than is fair. It's not just about money. Someone can be greedy for power, for fame, for attention, or even for food. Think about it. A person with very little money can be greedy, just like a person with a lot of money can be incredibly generous. So, it seems like greed isn't tied to the amount in your bank account. It lives inside a person, in their heart and mind. For thousands of years, long before modern money existed, people talked about this feeling. Ancient thinkers from different parts of the world, like the Greek philosopher Epicurus or the Roman Seneca, understood something important. They said that true happiness isn't about having a lot of stuff. It's about being content, about finding peace with what you already have. They believed that wanting more and more would only lead to a troubled mind, no matter how much you collected. This shows us that the struggle with wanting more is a very old human story. It's not something new that came with giant fortunes. Imagine you're playing a video game. Maybe you're collecting coins or points. At first, getting a few coins feels great. You feel a small rush of excitement. So, you want more. You collect more, and that good feeling comes again. But what if you keep collecting, even after you've gotten all the power-ups you need, even after you've reached the top score? You're just collecting for the sake of collecting. That feeling of wanting just one more can become endless. Your brain gets used to the small reward, and it keeps pushing you to seek that feeling again and again. It's not really about needing the coins anymore. It's about the feeling of getting them. This is how the desire for more can take root in us, whether it's coins in a game or money in real life. It's a human response that can get out of control. So, the next time you think about someone who has a lot of money, try to look deeper. The real question isn't how much they have, but what they do with it. Do they use it to build things, to help others, to create something good in the world? Or do they just hoard it, always wanting more for themselves alone? Greed is a choice, a way of seeing the world where nothing is ever enough. And that choice can be made by anyone, rich or poor, in any part of life. It's not about their wealth, it's about their character, their heart, and what truly makes them feel whole. We've all heard it, right? Money can't buy happiness. It's one of those sayings that gets passed down through generations. And on the surface, it feels true. You know, you can have all the stuff in the world, fancy cars, big houses, cool gadgets, and still feel lonely or sad. Happiness, the real kind, feels like it comes from inside you, from good friends, or from doing something you love. It's not something you can just pick up at the store. But here's the thing. While money doesn't directly buy that warm, fuzzy feeling of happiness, it sure can help clear a lot of the obstacles standing in its way. Think about it. When you're worried about how you'll pay for food, or where you'll live, or if you can afford to see a doctor when you're sick, those worries are heavy. They weigh you down. It's hard to feel truly happy when you're constantly stressed about basic needs. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greeks spent a lot of time talking about happiness. They didn't think happiness was about having lots of gold. Instead, they believed it came from living a good life, being kind, and finding purpose. And they were right, in a big way. The deepest joy often comes from things money can't touch. Love, friendship, a sense of belonging, feeling like you're doing something meaningful. But here's how it works in our world today. Money acts like a strong shield against a lot of problems. Imagine you're trying to walk down a path. If that path is full of sharp rocks, thorny bushes, and big holes, you're going to spend all your energy just trying not to trip or get hurt. It's hard to enjoy the view or even notice it. You're just focused on survival. Now, imagine that same path, but someone has cleared all the rocks and thorns. They've smoothed out the holes. Suddenly, walking is easy. You can look up. You can enjoy the trees, the sky, the birds singing. You can even run and play. Money, in many ways, does this for our lives. It doesn't create the beautiful path or the happy feelings, but it removes the painful things that stop you from enjoying what's already there. For an 8th grader, think about this. Imagine 2 students. One student's family struggles to pay rent and keep food on the table. This student might constantly worry about their parents, or have to work a job after school instead of doing homework or playing sports. They might not have enough money for school supplies, or to join a club. This kind of stress can make it really hard to focus on school, or have fun with friends, or even get a good night's sleep. They're walking on that thorny path. Now, picture another student whose family is financially stable. They don't worry about rent or food. They can afford school supplies, maybe even a tutor if they need one. They have time to play sports, join clubs, or just hang out with friends without extra stress. This student isn't automatically happy just because their family has money, but they have fewer worries. They have more choices. They have more chances to explore what makes them feel good. Their path is clearer. So, it's not that money buys happiness like you buy a new video game. It buys security. It buys opportunities. It buys less stress. And when you have less stress and more opportunities, it becomes a lot easier to find joy, to build strong relationships, and to pursue the things that truly make you feel good inside. Money gives you the freedom to focus on what truly matters, instead of always being stuck trying to just get by. It's a tool, a very powerful one, that can help you build a life where happiness has more room to grow. Have you ever heard someone say, or maybe even thought to yourself, "I'm just not good with money"? It's a common thought. It often feels like some people are born knowing how to handle cash, while others are just lost. They mess things up. They spend too much. They never seem to have enough. But here's the thing. Handling money isn't some magical gift. It's a skill. Just like learning to ride a bike, or play a video game really well, or even bake a perfect cake. No one is born knowing how to do these things. They learn, they practice, and money? It's exactly the same. Your brain isn't wired to be good or bad with money from birth. It learns. It builds new pathways. Think about how humans have always learned. For thousands of years, people learned by doing. If you wanted to hunt, you practiced. If you wanted to build a shelter, you practiced. Ancient thinkers, like Aristotle, talked about how we become good at things by doing them. We become brave by doing brave acts. We become fair by doing fair acts. It's the same with money. We become good with money by actually practicing how to manage it. It's not about being smart enough. It's about learning the steps and then taking them. The idea that some people are just naturally good with it and others aren't is a lie that keeps many from even trying. It makes people feel helpless, like it's out of their control. Imagine learning to play a musical instrument, like the guitar. When you first pick it up, your fingers probably feel awkward. The chords sound terrible. You might think, I'm just not musically inclined. But is that really true? Or do you just need to practice? You learn the notes. You learn the chords. You make mistakes. A lot of them. Your fingers might even hurt a little. But if you keep showing up, if you keep practicing, day after day, week after week, something amazing happens. Your fingers start to remember. Your brain creates connections. Soon, those awkward sounds turn into music. You don't become good overnight, but through consistent effort, you build the skill. Money works the same way. You learn what a budget is. You practice saving a little bit. You mess up. You learn from those mistakes. You keep trying. This isn't about being perfect right away. It's about taking small steps. It's about understanding that every step you take, no matter how small, helps you learn. Every time you make a choice about spending or saving, you're practicing. And practice makes you better. This simple truth can change everything. It means you are not stuck. It means you have power. The idea that you are just not good at something can feel like a heavy chain. It can stop you from even trying. But when you realize that money skills are learned, like any other skill, that chain breaks. You can start fresh. You can decide to learn. It means that the path to feeling confident about money is open to everyone, including you. It means that with patience and a little practice, anyone can learn to manage their money, to make it work for them, and to feel a true sense of calm and control over their own future. It's a journey, not a destination, and it starts with believing you can learn. Have you ever looked at someone who seems to have it all and thought, well, they must have just been lucky, born into money? It's easy to believe that lie, isn't it? The idea that to be truly well off, to have financial peace, you need to come from a family that already has a lot. It's like believing a tree can only grow tall if its seed fell on already rich soil. But here's the thing, that's not how it works. For a long time, centuries ago, it was much harder to move up in the world. Your life path was often set from birth. If your parents were farmers, you were likely a farmer. If they were nobles, you were a noble. Money, land, and power mostly stayed within the same families. It was like a game where only a few people were allowed to start with all the best pieces. This way of thinking, this idea that your destiny is fixed, it lingered. It made people feel stuck. It made them believe that if they weren't born into wealth, they couldn't possibly create it for themselves. But the world changed, and so did the rules. Today, building wealth isn't about inheriting a giant pile of gold. It's about a different kind of growth. Think about a tiny acorn. It doesn't start as a mighty oak tree. It starts small, just a little seed. For that acorn to become a tree, it needs a few things: sunlight, water, good soil, and time. It needs to keep growing, day after day, bit by bit. It faces storms, maybe a dry spell, but if it keeps pushing its roots down and reaching its branches up, it gets bigger, stronger. Building wealth is a lot like that acorn. It doesn't usually happen overnight, like winning the lottery. It's more like a journey, a process of small, steady actions that add up over time. It's about planting those first few seeds. Maybe it's learning a new skill, saving a small part of the money you earn, or trying again. Each little discovery, each piece of knowledge they gain, builds on the last. Slowly, patiently, they gather understanding, and that understanding becomes powerful. It's the same with building wealth. You learn, you practice, you make small choices consistently. This path, the path of building wealth, it asks for patience. It asks for discipline. It asks for you to look at your future not as something already decided for you, but as something you can actively shape. It means understanding that you don't need to be handed everything at the start. You have the power to create. You have the ability to plant your own seeds, to nurture them, and to watch them grow. So, the next time that old lie whispers in your mind, the one that says you need to be born rich, remember the acorn. Remember the scientist. Remember that the greatest things are often built, not given. Your journey starts right where you are, with the choices you make, one small step at a time. And that's why it matters. You are not stuck. You have the power to build. Have you ever just wished for money? Maybe you dreamed of finding a pile of cash, or winning the lottery, or just having money show up in your pocket. It's a common thought, isn't it? This idea that money will just appear out of nowhere. We see it in movies or hear stories, and it feels like a nice thought. But here's the thing, that belief can actually hold you back. It's one of the big lies we sometimes tell ourselves. Money doesn't just poof into existence. It's not magic dust that floats down from the sky. For almost all of history, and still today, money is a way to represent value. It's a symbol for the work people do, the things they create, or the problems they solve. Think about it. Long ago, before money, if someone wanted a tool, they might trade a basket of berries for it. The berries had value, and the tool had value. Then, people started using things like shells or coins to make trading easier. Those shells or coins weren't valuable on their own. They were valuable because everyone agreed they could be exchanged for real things. For food, for clothes, for tools. So, money isn't just there. It comes from something. It comes from effort. It comes from making a difference for others. Someone earns money when they build something, teach something, fix something, or help someone. The money they get is like a sign that they gave value to the world. And that's why it matters how you think about it. If you believe money will just appear, you might spend a lot of time waiting. And waiting doesn't create anything. Think about a garden. If you want a beautiful rose bush, you don't just stand there and wish for it. You don't hope a rose bush will magically pop out of the ground. That doesn't happen. Instead, you get to work. You prepare the soil. You plant a tiny seed or a small plant. You water it. You give it sunlight. You protect it from bugs. You nurture it. Day after day, you make the rose bush happen. The beauty, the flowers, the growth. It all comes from your actions, your care, your consistent effort. Money is a lot like that rose bush. It's a result. It's what grows when you put in the right kind of effort. If you want more money, you don't wish for it. You create it. You learn a skill. You find a way to help people. You build something useful. You work hard at a job. You use your ideas and your energy to make things better for yourself and for others. And as you do that, as you plant those seeds of effort and value, the money you earn starts to appear. It's not magic. It's a natural outcome of what you do. Understanding this isn't about being greedy or always thinking about money. It's about seeing your own power. It's about knowing that you have the ability to create, to contribute, and to make things happen in your own life. It means you don't have to wait for luck or for someone else to give you something. You have the power inside you to grow your own garden, to cultivate your own future, and to shape your own path forward. It's a calm, strong feeling, knowing you are in charge of what you plant. Sometimes, a quiet thought about our money comes to mind. My current money habits are fine. It's comforting, isn't it? We pay bills, buy what we need, even some wants. We're not broke or struggling. So, if things feel okay, what's to worry about? This is a common belief. It's easy to settle into a rhythm, assuming everything works just because it's not falling apart. But here's the thing, fine isn't always truly fine. Sometimes, fine is what we tell ourselves to avoid looking closer. It's like a small, constant drizzle. One drop isn't a flood, but over time, it soaks everything. Our money habits work similarly. They are quiet forces, shaping our future bit by bit, whether we notice or not. We don't always see the slow buildup until much time has passed. Think about people from long ago, farmers, for example. If they ate all their seeds right away, they'd have nothing to plant next season. This simple truth, what you do today affects tomorrow, has always been around. It's about daily choices adding up. They knew small decisions shaped their future. Here's a way to think about it. Imagine a tiny crack in your smartphone screen. It's small, barely noticeable. You tell yourself, it's fine. But every time you drop it or put it in your bag, that crack might get bigger. Over weeks or months, that small crack can turn into a web of lines, maybe even failing. It wasn't one big event, but many small actions turning a little problem into a big one. Our money habits are much like that crack. Buying a sugary drink daily instead of water, or always getting the newest game without much thought. Each time, it feels small. It feels fine. But these small, repeated choices build patterns in your brain. Your brain forms pathways, making these actions easier to repeat. That's how habits are made. You get a little happiness from doing them, and your brain wants that feeling again. Soon, it's just what you do, almost without thinking. Slowly, these fine habits can drain resources or keep you from bigger goals. So, when we ask if our money habits are truly fine, we're asking a deeper question. Are we just drifting or truly sailing toward a future we want? It's not about judging ourselves. It's about curiosity. It's about gently looking at these quiet habits and wondering if they serve our truest selves. It's about finding peace, knowing our daily choices build something strong, something steady, a foundation for a calmer, confident life. It's about feeling truly fine, deep down, not just on the surface. Have you ever felt like things just happen to you? Like life is a giant current, and you're just floating along, powerless, with no say in where you end up? Maybe you've thought, it's not my fault I'm stuck here, or I can't do anything about this. When it comes to money, it's easy to feel this way. We might see our parents struggle, or hear about big economic problems, and think our own financial future is already decided for us, that we're just victims of whatever happens. But here's the thing, that idea, that belief, is one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, and it can keep us stuck. The truth is, while we can't always control what happens to us, we almost always have a say in how we react to it. Think about it. A storm might hit your town, and that's not your fault. You didn't make the wind blow or the rain fall, but you can choose to prepare for it, to help your neighbors afterward, or to rebuild. This isn't about blaming you for things outside your power. It's about seeing where your power actually lies. Ancient thinkers, people who lived thousands of years ago, understood this. There was a group called the Stoics, for example. They believed that the only thing truly in our control is our own mind, our thoughts, and our actions. Everything else, what others do, what the weather does, how the economy acts, is outside our control. They said true freedom comes from focusing only on what you can control. This might sound simple, but it's a deep idea. It means you stop wasting energy on things you can't change, and put all that energy into what you can. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. When you first start, you might wobble and fall. The sidewalk might be bumpy, or a car might zoom by, making you nervous. It's easy to say, the bike is hard, or the street is too busy. But the more you focus on your balance, on your steering, on your pedaling, the better you get. You can't control the bumpy sidewalk, but you can control how you hold the handlebars, how you push the pedals, and that's why it matters. The sidewalk doesn't magically become smooth, but your ability to ride on it changes completely. You take responsibility for your part of the journey. This applies directly to your relationship with money. You might not have been born into a wealthy family, and that's not your fault. You might not be able to instantly change a country's economy, and that's not your fault. But you can learn about saving. You can choose to work hard in school so you have more options later. You can decide to spend wisely instead of carelessly. These are all choices that are completely within your power. It's a slow shift from feeling like a leaf blown by the wind to becoming becoming the wind itself, not in a magical overnight way, but in a steady, determined way. It's about understanding that while the world might throw things your way, your response, your effort, your mindset, these are truly yours. And in that understanding lies a quiet power, a sense of peace that comes from knowing you are capable of navigating your own path, no matter the currents. You are not just a passenger. You are the captain of your own ship, even if the sea gets rough. And that thought, by itself, can change everything. Have you ever heard someone say, "There's just not enough money to go around"? This idea is everywhere. It makes us feel like we're all fighting for a small slice of a very tiny pie. This feeling can make us scared. It can make us think we have to grab what we can, even if it means others get less. But here's the thing. Is money truly scarce? Is it like fresh water in a desert, where every drop counts and there simply isn't enough for everyone to drink their fill? For a long time, people thought about money that way. Back when money was actual gold or silver coins, it felt very limited. Gold had to be dug out of the ground. There was only so much of it in the earth. If one person had a lot, it often meant someone else had less. This made sense because the supply of gold really was limited. So, the idea of money being scarce stuck deep in our minds. It became a basic belief about how the world works. But our world changed. Money isn't mostly gold coins anymore. Today, most money is just numbers on a computer screen. Banks and governments create it. When you get a loan for a house or a new business, new money, in a way, comes into existence. It's not dug up. It's a system, a set of agreements. It's a way to keep track of value and trade goods and services. This means money itself isn't a physical thing that runs out, like oil or a specific type of metal. It's more like a language we all agree to speak, so we can trade easily. Think about something like oxygen. There's enough for everyone to breathe freely, right? The oxygen in the air isn't scarce. But if one group decided to build a huge, airtight bubble and pump all the oxygen into it, then suddenly, outside the bubble, oxygen would seem scarce. It's not that there isn't enough oxygen in the world. It's that the way it's being distributed or controlled is making it scarce for others. Money can feel that way. The truth is, the world has enough resources. We have enough clever people. We have enough ways to create what we need. The actual problem isn't that there isn't enough money. The real challenge is often about how it flows. It's about how it's shared. And it's about whether our systems allow everyone to get their fair share and participate. So, when we believe money is scarce, we might hold on to it tightly. We fear there won't be enough for us later. We might compete hard, seeing others as rivals. But what if we truly understood? What if we saw money as more like a river that can be made to flow in different ways? Or like a tool that can build many amazing things? Then a different feeling comes up. It's a feeling that abundance is possible. It's about realizing that the idea of money being truly, deeply scarce is often a story we've been told. And it's a story we can choose to look at differently. We can start to imagine a world where the flow of resources, represented by money, really is enough for everyone to live well. Have you ever looked around, maybe at school or online, and felt like everyone else has it better? Like they have cooler clothes, the newest phone, or go on amazing trips? And maybe you start to think, if only I had that, I'd be happy. This feeling, this belief that everyone else has it, is a common lie we tell ourselves about money and success. And it can keep us stuck. Here's the thing. Our brains are always trying to make sense of the world. One way they do this is by comparing. It's a natural human trait. For thousands of years, even before smartphones and social media, people looked at their neighbors. A farmer might see another farmer with a bigger harvest and wish for the same. A hunter might see a more successful hunter and feel a pang of envy. Ancient thinkers from different parts of the world talked about how wanting what others have can lead to unhappiness. They understood that comparing yourself to others is a road to endless dissatisfaction. There will always be someone with something you don't have. But here's the problem. When we compare ourselves to everyone else, we're usually comparing our whole, messy, real life to just a small, perfect-looking piece of someone else's. Think about social media. What do people usually post? Their best moments, their victories, their new shoes, their amazing vacations. They don't often post about their struggles, their bad days, their arguments, or their financial worries. It's like watching a movie trailer and thinking that's the whole story. You only see the highlight reel, not the daily grind or the parts where things went wrong. You're seeing the finished product, not all the hard work and tough times that went into it. Imagine you're watching a basketball game. You see a player make an incredible shot from half court. You might think, wow, they're so lucky. They just always make amazing shots. But you didn't see the thousands of hours they spent practicing, the shots they missed, the early mornings, the sore muscles, or the times they felt like giving up. You only saw the one shining moment. In life, with money and success, it's the same. We often see someone's amazing shot, their new car, their fancy house, but we don't see the years of hard work, the sacrifices, the debt, or maybe even the compromises they made to get it. We only see the front of the stage, never the behind-the-scenes chaos. When we focus too much on what others have, we stop seeing what we have. We stop appreciating our own journey, our own progress, and our own unique strengths. It's like being so busy looking at someone else's test paper that you forget to answer your own questions. Your path is your own. Your life is your own. What makes you happy might be totally different from what makes someone else happy. Real contentment, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from having what everyone else has. It comes from valuing what you already have, and from building a life that truly fits you, not someone else's idea of success. So, instead of comparing, maybe take a quiet moment to appreciate your own path, right here, right now. It's the only one that truly matters for you. Have you ever wondered why some people spend so much money on things that just look expensive? Like fancy clothes, the latest phone, or a flashy car? It's almost as if they want everyone to believe they are really wealthy. Here's the thing. Trying to look rich is often the opposite of being rich. When someone spends all their money to buy things to impress others, they often end up with no money left over. They might have a closet full of designer items, but an empty bank account. This isn't real wealth. It's just a show, and it's a show that can actually keep you poor. For a long time, people have used things they own to show off their status. Think about kings in old stories wearing crowns covered in jewels, or nobles dressed in silk and velvet. They wanted everyone to see how important and powerful they were. But even then, some of those very kings might have been in serious debt, their kingdom struggling, while they kept up appearances. The idea that owning certain things makes you important is very old. It's a way we've learned to signal our place in the world. But here's the problem. What you show on the outside doesn't always match what's real on the inside. True richness isn't about the labels on your clothes or the brand of your car. It's about what you have, not what you show. Imagine a tree. Some trees grow super tall, super fast, but their roots stay shallow. A strong wind comes, and they fall over. Then, there's another tree. It might not be the tallest, and it grows slowly, but its roots go deep, spreading out, holding tight to the earth. When the storm hits, that tree stands firm. Looking rich is like that tall tree with shallow roots. You might look impressive for a moment, but you're not stable. Being rich, truly rich, is like that tree with deep roots. It's about building a strong foundation that can handle life's storms. This means saving money, learning about how money works, and making smart choices that help your money grow quietly over time. It's about having options, not just possessions. Think about two students. One student spends all their money on the newest video game console and a bunch of expensive games as soon as they come out. They show it off to all their friends. The other student, instead, saves some of their allowance, maybe buys a cheaper game, and puts the rest into a savings account, or learns a new skill that can help them earn money later. Who do you think will be better off in a few years? The one who has a pile of used games, or the one who has saved money and gained valuable skills? Being rich isn't about being flashy or showing off. It's about being secure. It's about having enough money so you don't have to worry all the time. It's about having the freedom to choose your path, whether that's going to college, starting a small business, or simply having a safety net for unexpected problems. Real wealth isn't a costume you wear, it's a quiet strength you build. It gives you peace, and that quiet peace, that freedom, is worth far more than any expensive thing you could ever buy. Isn't it tempting to just live in the moment? To spend your money the second you get it? To buy that cool new thing? To enjoy today and not think about tomorrow? It feels freeing, doesn't it? Like you're really seizing life. But here's the thing. That idea, live for today, worry later, can be a quiet lie, especially when it comes to your money. It's a comfortable thought, but it can trap you. The truth is, living only for today without any thought for tomorrow often keeps people stuck. It's like sailing a boat without a rudder. You're moving, sure, but you're not really going anywhere specific, and you're definitely not ready for the storms ahead. This isn't about being boring or never having fun. It's about understanding that a little planning today can mean a lot more freedom and joy tomorrow. Think about people throughout history. Even ancient humans, long before money existed, understood this. They didn't just eat every berry they found right away. They learned to gather extra for winter. They stored seeds for the next planting season. It wasn't about worrying. It was about seeing ahead, about knowing that the future would arrive, and being ready for it meant surviving, even thriving. The wise ones always looked a little beyond the edge of today. They knew that actions taken now have effects later. Here's a way to think about it. Imagine you're a squirrel. A squirrel doesn't just eat every nut it finds. It buries some. It puts away a store for the cold months when food is scarce. It doesn't know exactly when winter will hit, but it knows winter will hit. And so, it plans. It works a little bit today for a better, safer tomorrow. That squirrel isn't worrying later. It's preparing now. What does this mean for you? Right now, with your own money. It means understanding the power of a small choice. When you get some money, whether it's from chores, a gift, or a part-time job, it's easy to just spend it all on instant fun. A new game, some snacks, clothes you don't really need. And that's fine sometimes. But if you do that every time, without any thought for a bigger goal, you're eating all your nuts today. Instead, what if you decided to put away just a little bit? Not all of it, but maybe 10 or 20%. You're burying a few nuts. It might feel like a small sacrifice today. You might have to wait a bit longer for that big thing you want. But here's what happens. Those small bits add up. Over time, they grow into something substantial. That small decision not to spend every penny instantly builds up a strong foundation. It's about delayed gratification, a fancy way of saying you wait for something better later. It shows a kind of wisdom, a strength inside you. The lie says to spend now because tomorrow might never come. But the truth is, tomorrow usually does come. And when it does, how you treat it today will shape it. Taking time to plan, even a little, isn't about fear or worry. It's about respect for your future self. It's about building a sense of calm and safety, knowing you have a little something tucked away. It's about giving yourself more choices down the line, instead of fewer. It's about creating a future that feels more like an open road, and less like a trapped maze. It's a gentle act of hope, and a quiet promise to yourself. Have you ever stopped to think about yourself, but way in the future? Not next year, or even in a few years, but maybe when you're your grandparents' age. What will that person be like? What will they be doing? Will they be happy and comfortable? Or will they be worried? Here's the thing. That person, the future you, is real. And right now, today, you are making choices that will shape their life, especially when it comes to money. Saving for old age isn't about getting rich for the sake of it. It's about giving that future version of yourself options. It's about giving them freedom. It's about making sure they don't have to worry all the time. For thousands of years, people have thought about this idea of preparing for later. Ancient farmers, for instance, would save seeds from their harvest. They didn't eat all their crops. They saved some, not just to survive the winter, but to plant for the next year. They understood that today's effort made tomorrow possible. This is like a quiet promise you make to yourself across time. It's a way of saying, I care about what happens to you, future me. about it like this. Have you ever seen a tiny stream? Just a trickle of water. Over many, many years, that tiny stream can carve out an enormous canyon, deep and wide. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens because of steady, gentle work, day after day, year after year. Each small drop of water over a long time becomes powerful. Saving money for your future is a bit like that stream. Each small bit you save, each small choice you make to put something aside might seem tiny now. $1 here, $5 there, but over a lifetime, those small bits add up. And they don't just add up, they grow. It's like planting a tiny acorn. You don't see the mighty oak tree the next day, or even next year, but if you keep watering it, keep giving it what it needs, one day it will be a huge, strong tree. It will provide shade, a home for birds, and a beautiful place to be. That oak tree of your savings gives future you choices. It means not having to work just to pay bills when you're older. It means having enough to be comfortable, maybe even to travel, or learn something new, or simply relax without constant worry. It means having freedom instead of feeling trapped. So, saving for old age isn't about being greedy or stingy. It's an act of kindness to yourself. It's about taking care of the person you will become. It's about building a sturdy bridge from the energetic, strong you of today to the wise, perhaps less energetic you of tomorrow. When you save, you're saying, hey, future me, I've got your back. I care about you. I want you to be okay. And imagine how thankful that future self will be for the thoughtful choices you made today. It's a precious gift you give yourself, a gift of peace and freedom, built one small step at a time. Have you ever wanted something so much you just had to have it right away? Maybe it was a new video game, a snack, or something online. That feeling, that strong pull to get what you want now, is called instant gratification. It feels good in the moment, right? Like a quick burst of sunshine. But here's the thing. Believing that getting what you want right now is always the best way can actually keep you from getting something even better, something truly lasting. It's one of those silent lies we sometimes tell ourselves about money and about life itself. Think about it. We live in a world that often celebrates speed, fast food, fast internet, instant messages. Everything seems designed to give us what we want without waiting. And for simple things, that's fine. But for bigger goals, for dreams that truly matter, this rush can be a trap. It promises a small joy now, but it hides the bigger, deeper joy you could have later if you just held on a little longer. People have known this for a long, long time. Way back, even ancient thinkers understood that a life lived only for the moment. Chasing every small desire often led to emptiness. They talked about patience and self-control. They saw that true happiness often came from waiting, from building, from understanding that some of the best things take time. It's like planting a seed. You can't just wish for a tree. You have to plant it, water it, and then wait for it to grow. The immediate joy of having a seed in your hand is tiny compared to the slow, deep satisfaction of watching a tree blossom years later. There's a famous experiment from back in the 1960s called the marshmallow test. It's a simple idea, but it taught us a lot about waiting. Kids were brought into a room, and a researcher put a marshmallow in front of them. The researcher told them they could eat that one marshmallow right away, but if they waited just a few minutes until the researcher came back, they would get 2 marshmallows instead. Some kids ate the first marshmallow super fast. Others struggled, but they waited. They covered their eyes, sang songs, did anything to distract themselves. And when the researcher came back, those patient kids got their second marshmallow. Here's what I found. The interesting part came years later. The researchers followed up with those kids as they grew up. They discovered that the kids who were able to wait for the second marshmallow, the ones who delayed their gratification, often did better in school, had more success in their careers, and even managed stress better. They learned a powerful lesson early. Waiting can lead to bigger rewards. This isn't just about marshmallows or snacks. It's about how you approach money. It's about saving a small part of your allowance instead of spending it all on candy. It's about learning to say not yet to something you want now, so you can say yes to something much bigger later, like a trip you've always dreamed of. hobby you love. It's about understanding that every small decision to wait is like adding a little bit to a secret superpower inside you. So, here's what it comes down to. The belief that instant gratification is best is a whisper that keeps you stuck in smallness, but the quiet strength of delaying for bigger rewards, that's a deep truth. It's not about denying yourself joy forever. It's about choosing a deeper, richer kind of joy. It's about knowing that true abundance often waits for those who have the patience to build it, piece by careful piece. It's about understanding that the very act of waiting can make the reward even sweeter. Have you ever heard grown-ups talk about things like budgets or retirement funds and felt your eyes glaze over? Maybe you think, that's for later. A long, long time from now, when I'm old and have a real job. It's easy to believe that some parts of life, especially big, serious parts like money, are so far off they don't even matter right now. But here's the thing, that belief, the idea that certain truths about money don't apply to you yet, is one of those quiet lies that can keep you from growing strong. It's like thinking a tiny seed isn't important because it's not a tree yet, or believing that learning to read isn't a big deal when you're 5 because you don't need to read a whole novel today, but the little seed holds the whole tree inside it, and those early letters become the foundation for every book you'll ever read. The same is true for money and the way you think about it. The simple lessons, the small choices you make now, are planting seeds for your future. Think about it this way. For thousands of years, humans have always had to think ahead, even if it was just about the next hunting season, or planting enough crops for winter. They didn't have banks or investment accounts, but they understood that today's actions created tomorrow's reality. If they ate all their seeds today, there would be nothing to plant tomorrow. This isn't a new idea. This connection between now and later. It's a very old, very human truth. We are always building our future, brick by quiet brick, whether we realize it or not. Here's what I found. Life tends to speed up. One day you're in middle school, the next you're thinking about college, then a job, then your own place. These things arrive much faster than you can imagine from where you stand right now. And with them come choices about money. Not just about how much you have, but about how you use it, how you save it, and how you understand its power. Imagine you're learning to play a musical instrument, like a guitar. When you first pick it up, your fingers are clumsy. It sounds terrible. You might think, I'll never play like my favorite musician. But if you practice just a little bit every day, even 15 minutes, those small efforts add up. Your fingers learn where to go. Your ears get better at hearing the notes. And slowly, week after week, you start to make music. It doesn't happen overnight, but the big change comes from many small, everyday actions. You don't wait until you're a professional to start practicing. You start now, because the learning now makes the professional later. Money works in a similar way. It's not about having a lot of money right now. It's about how you approach it, even the small amounts you might get. Do you spend it all as soon as it's in your hand? Do you think about what you truly need versus what you just want? Do you ever put a little bit aside just because? These small decisions are like practicing your guitar. They might seem tiny and unimportant, but they are building habits, they are shaping your understanding, and they are preparing you for all the bigger financial moments that are heading your way. So this isn't about worrying or feeling like you have to be an expert right now. It's about noticing. It's about being curious about the quiet connections between your choices today and the person you are becoming. The future isn't a far-off place. It's a garden you plant every day, with every small decision you make. And the seeds you plant now, even the tiny ones, will determine what grows there. It might not apply to you fully right this second, but it will soon. And being aware of that, just being aware, can make all the difference. Have you ever really stopped to think about how your parents handle money? Or do you just kind of assume they've got it all figured out? And it's not something you need to worry about. It's a common thought, a natural one even, especially when you're still in school. But here's the thing, believing that your parents handling everything means you don't need to learn is one of those quiet lies that can hold you back. For a long time, maybe even for all of history, young people learned about money and work very directly. Think about a farm family long ago. Kids saw crops growing, animals being raised, food being sold at the market. They saw the hard work turn into money. And they saw how that money was used to buy what the family needed, or to save for a new tool. Or imagine a family who owned a small shop. Children watched their parents buy things to sell, count the change, deal with customers, and pay the bills. Money wasn't just an idea. It was physical, seen, touched, and understood through daily life. The lessons were built into living. But today, money often feels less real. It's numbers on a screen, a card swiped, a text notification. Parents might pay bills online or move money between accounts without you ever seeing a single paper bill or a wad of cash. This can make it seem like money just magically appears or handles itself, or that it's this grown-up secret you don't need to know yet. So, the lie isn't that your parents are bad at managing money. It's that they're managing it means you don't have to learn how. It's a bit like this. Imagine your parents are amazing chefs. They cook incredible meals every single day. You sit down, enjoy the food, and never once step into the kitchen. You don't see them chopping vegetables, heating the pan, or timing the different dishes. You don't know what spices they use, or how to fix a meal if something goes wrong. The food tastes great, but if suddenly you had to cook for yourself, you'd be completely lost. You wouldn't know where to begin, how to budget for ingredients, or even how to boil water without burning it. Money is the same. Your parents are doing the cooking of the family finances. They're making the budget, paying the bills, deciding what to save for. They are choosing how to handle the ingredients of income and expenses. If you don't step into their financial kitchen, even just to watch, to ask questions, to understand why they make certain choices, you will one day have to cook your own financial meals without knowing a single recipe. You won't know how much things cost, how to save for what you want, or how to handle unexpected bills. So, here's what happened. Instead of just watching from afar or letting them do it all, try to be curious. Ask them about their budget. Ask them why they choose to spend money on some things and save for others. Find out how a credit card works, or why saving is so important for the future. It's not about judging their choices, it's about understanding the process. This isn't about taking over their job right now. It's about learning the skills for your own life, so that when it's your turn, you are prepared. It's about building your own understanding, piece by piece, so you can stand on your own 2 feet, ready for whatever financial journeys lie ahead. Ever feel like some big grown-up ideas are just way too complicated? Like the word budgeting itself sounds heavy, maybe even a little boring? You might think it's all about math and restrictions, taking away your fun. But here's the thing. That's a common lie we tell ourselves. Because budgeting is not hard. It's just a plan. Think of it this way. What is a plan, really? It's just an idea for what you're going to do. Before you cross the street, you plan to look both ways. Before you play a game, you plan your moves. A budget is simply a plan for your money. It's a way to decide where your money goes before it just disappears. It's about being smart with what you have, not about feeling poor or like you can't spend money. It's about making sure your money does what you want it to do. People have been planning their resources for thousands of years. Long before banks or calculators, ancient farmers knew how much grain they needed to save for winter. They didn't call it a budget, but it was the same idea, knowing what you have and deciding what it needs to do for you. Philosophers from way back, like the ancient Greeks, often talked about living with intention. That means not just letting life happen to you, but choosing your path. Making a plan for your money is a modern way to live with that same kind of intention. It's about being thoughtful, instead of just hoping things work out. Imagine you're planning a big trip to an amusement park with your friends. You wouldn't just show up at the gate, right? You'd probably look up the park online. You'd check which ride you want to go on first. Maybe you'd decide which snacks you'll buy. Or if you need money for a souvenir, that's your plan for the day. You're not trying to stop yourself from having fun. You're planning to have more fun by making sure you get to do all the things you want. Your money budget is exactly like that amusement park plan. It helps you figure out what you want your money to do for you and how to make sure it happens. It guides you so you don't run out of money before you get to the best parts. When you know where your money is going, it brings a real sense of calm. It's like having a map for your journey. You don't feel lost. You don't feel stressed about unexpected feel more in control. This isn't about being perfect with every single dollar. It's about understanding. It's about giving yourself the freedom to make choices because you know what you have. It's a quiet power, really. A simple plan can give you peace. It lets you look towards tomorrow, knowing you're ready for it. And that feeling? That's not hard at all. It's just smart living. Have you ever noticed how weird it feels to talk about money? Like, really talk about it? It's different from talking about a movie or a game or even your feelings. When the subject of money comes up, people often get quiet or they change the topic. It's like there's a big unspoken rule. Don't talk about money. Here's the thing. This awkwardness, this silence around money, it's not accidental. For a long time, in many places, money became a private thing. It's like a secret. Maybe you don't know how much your friend's parents earn or what your older sibling saves. It feels almost rude to ask. This quiet agreement that money is a private topic means we don't learn from each other. We don't share our struggles or our successes. And that's a problem. Think about it. Centuries ago, people didn't hide their wealth in the same way. If you owned land, everyone knew it. If you had many cows, it was clear to see. Your worth, in a way, was visible. But as money became coins, then paper, then just numbers on a screen, it became easier to hide. And with that hiding came a new idea, that discussing money was impolite. It became a topic only for hushed whispers, or not at all. Philosophers might say this created a veil, a curtain between what we have and what we show. We started to believe money equals success, but also that showing success, or even failure, was something to hide. This belief grew through generations. It settled deep in our minds. It makes us feel uncomfortable even asking questions. It's a bit like a group project where no one talks about who's doing what. Imagine if you and your classmates had to build something together, but no one could talk about the materials, or the plan, or how much work each person was doing. You'd probably end up with a mess. Someone might do all the work, someone else nothing. No one would know because talking about it is awkward. Money is kind of like that. If we don't talk about how it works, how we earn it, save it, or lose it, then we're all just guessing. We rely on what we see in movies or what advertisements tell us. And those stories, they're often not the real story. They're built to make you buy things, not to make you smart about money. So, this silence, this awkwardness, it keeps us poor in understanding. We don't hear real experiences. We make choices based on guesses, not real knowledge. It's like trying to find your way in a dark room without turning on the light. The truth is, understanding money isn't just about being rich. It's about being prepared. It's about being free. To truly understand, we need to bring it out into the open. We need to talk about it calmly, with curiosity, not to compare or judge, but to learn. When we start talking about money, we begin to see hidden doors. We see unspoken rules, and we find a path to a clearer, more open future. It's a brave step, just to start the conversation. Have you ever heard someone say, credit scores? Nah, they don't really matter. It's just numbers. Maybe they think it's some grown-up thing that doesn't touch their world. But here's the thing. That idea, that quiet whisper in the air, is one of the biggest lies about money. And it can keep you from so many good things later on. So, what exactly is a credit score? Think of it like a report card, but for how you handle borrowed money. It's a 3-digit number, usually from 300 to 850. Every time you borrow money, whether it's for a phone, a car, or even student loans later, how you pay it back gets noted. Do you pay on time? Do you pay the full amount? Are you responsible with your debts? All of these things build your score. This number tells lenders, landlords, and even some employers if you're trustworthy when it comes to money. For a long, long time, before credit scores existed, trust was a handshake. If you wanted to borrow a tool from your neighbor, they knew you. They knew if you were good for it, if you'd return it. But imagine if you needed to borrow money from someone across the country, or from a bank that didn't know your name or your family history. That's where the idea of a credit score came from. It's a way to measure that trust, not just person to person, but system system to system. It's a modern echo of that ancient trust. It tries to capture a part of your financial reputation, putting it into a number. And that's why it matters so much. Imagine you're on a sports team. Every practice you show up on time. You always try your best. You work with your teammates. What kind of reputation do you build with your coach? A good one, right? The coach trusts you with bigger roles, maybe even to lead. But what if you often skip practice? Or you don't try hard? Your coach probably won't trust you as much. They won't give you important responsibilities. Your credit score is like that coach's mental tally. It's the record of your financial habits. This score isn't just about getting a loan for a car or a house later. It touches other parts of your life too. A good credit score can mean lower interest rates when you borrow, saving you thousands of dollars over time. It can help you rent an apartment. Some cell phone companies check it. Even some jobs check it, especially if you're going to handle money. It's a quiet gatekeeper for many opportunities. The truth is, your credit score is a reflection. It mirrors how reliable you are in the world of money. It's not just some random number. It's a story told through payments and balances. It reminds us that our actions, even the small, consistent ones, weave a bigger picture of who we are. Building good credit is like building a strong foundation. It's about creating a quiet strength for your future. Piece by careful piece. It's a profound responsibility, a silent promise to yourself for the life you want to build. Do you ever wonder where people really learn about money? For a lot of us, our first thought might be banks. They're big, they look official, and they handle money all the time. It's easy to think that if you need help with money, or want to understand it better, a bank is the only place to go. But here's the thing. That idea that only banks offer help is a big lie that can actually keep you from getting smarter about your money. Think about it. Money is everywhere, and it touches every part of our lives. It has a history that goes back thousands of years, long before the first bank even existed. People managed their resources, traded, saved, and spent in communities without giant buildings with vaults. They learned from each other. They learned from their elders, from stories, from the way their villages shared and survived. Money wisdom wasn't just in one place. It was woven into the fabric of daily life. So, when we believe that only banks can teach us, we close ourselves off to a whole world of knowledge. Imagine you want to learn how to play a new instrument, like the guitar. You could go to a professional music school, and that's a great way to learn. They have expert teachers and a structured plan. That's kind of like the bank for money. But is that the only way to learn? No way. You could also watch videos online, find free tutorials, borrow a book from the library, ask a friend who already plays, or even just experiment on your own. Each of those other ways offers a piece of the puzzle, a different angle, and a different kind of help. It's the same with money. Banks are a part of the financial world, just like a music school is part of the music world. They offer specific services, like savings accounts and loans. But learning how to manage your own money, how to make smart choices, or how to think about its role in your life, that kind of knowledge comes from many different places. It comes from talking to family members who are good with money. It comes from reading simple books about budgeting or saving. It comes from free online courses, or even just from watching educational videos that explain complex ideas in easy ways. It comes from listening to podcasts where people share their experiences. When you look beyond just banks, you start to see that help and knowledge about money are all around you. They are in the stories your grandparents tell, in the common sense advice you hear, and in the quiet moments you spend thinking about your future. Money isn't just about numbers and rules. It's about understanding human behavior, about patience, and about making choices that align with your own values. Real understanding often blooms not in the most formal settings, but in the open fields of curiosity and discovery. And that's why it matters. You have more power to learn than you might realize. Have you ever heard someone say that getting a college degree is the only real way to make it big? Or that once you have that piece of paper, your future is set? Like magic? It's a common idea, and it feels comforting to believe. But here's the thing. A degree is a powerful tool, a wonderful start, but it doesn't guarantee success all on its own. It's more like a really good compass than a finished treasure map. Think about it like this. A degree gives you a solid foundation of knowledge. It teaches you how to think, how to research, and how to solve problems in a structured way. This is incredibly valuable. For a long time, especially in the last 100 years or so, getting a degree became a sign that you were serious, educated, and ready for important work. Before that, many people learned through apprenticeships. They would work directly with a skilled persona carpenter, a blacksmith, a tailorette, learn the trade with their hands, day by day. There were no college degrees for those jobs. Then, as the world changed with factories and new kinds of businesses, universities grew. They became the places where you learned the theories and the complex ideas that weren't always taught in a workshop. So, the degree became a symbol. It showed you had spent years studying deeply, that you understood big ideas. And for many jobs, it became truly necessary. But here's the deeper meaning. A degree is like a really well-designed bicycle. It's built for speed. It has gears, and it can take you far. But owning the bicycle doesn't mean you automatically win the race. You still have to learn how to balance. You have to pedal, sometimes uphill, even when your legs hurt. You have to steer around obstacles, fix a flat tire if you get one. And sometimes, you might even have to get off and walk if the path gets too rough. The bike helps you, but you are the one doing the riding. Success in life is like that bicycle ride. Your degree might be the amazing bike, giving you a huge advantage. It shows you're prepared, that you've put in the work to learn. But success also needs effort, constant learning, and the ability to adapt when things change. It needs you to be curious, to keep asking questions, and to learn new skills even after you've left school. The world doesn't stop changing just because you finished a class. New problems pop up, new technologies appear, and that's why it matters how you keep writing, how you keep learning, and how you keep trying. So, while a degree can open many doors, the journey of true success is built on more than just that initial key. It's built on every step you take, every challenge you overcome, and the way you keep growing, long after the graduation caps are thrown. Your education is a lifelong adventure, and the certificate is just the first shining page in a very long, exciting book. Have you ever looked at someone who runs their own business, maybe a cool shop or an app they made, and thought, wow, that looks simple, I could totally do that. It's easy to see the finished product, the success, the freedom, and imagine that getting there was a smooth ride. We see the person on stage, the fancy office, the news stories, and that's where the first big lie about money and work often sneaks in. The idea that being an entrepreneur is easy. Here's the thing, it's not. It's really, really hard work. An entrepreneur is someone who sees a problem or an idea, and then decides to build something new to fix it or bring it to life. They take a risk. They put in their own time, sometimes their own money, to make something out of nothing. Think about it. For thousands of years, people have been creating things to sell or trade. From a farmer growing more food than his family needed and selling the rest, to a baker making bread, to someone building the first wheel. It always started with an idea, and then a whole lot of effort. It wasn't magic. It was muscle and mind working together. Imagine you decide to build a massive, awesome Lego castle. You have the picture on the box, and it looks amazing. You might think, okay, I'll just snap these pieces together. But then you open the box. There are thousands of tiny pieces. The instructions are long. You make mistakes. You put a wall on backwards. A tower falls over. You get frustrated. You might even want to give up. You have to sort pieces, find the right ones, follow steps carefully, and sometimes you just have to try again and again until it works. The finished castle looks perfect, but the process of building it, that was messy and tough. Building a business is a lot like that Lego castle. It's not just about having a great idea. It's about the endless hours, the setbacks, the moments when nothing seems to go right. It's about learning from every mistake, getting up when you fall, and finding solutions when things seem impossible. You might have to work late, wake up early, learn things you never thought you'd need to know, like how to manage money or how to talk to customers. There's no boss telling you what to do, which sounds free, but it also means there's no one else to make sure the work gets done. It all falls on you. So, when you see someone who's made it. Remember the unseen effort. Remember the quiet hours, the failures they overcame, the times they doubted themselves but kept going anyway. The true value of creating something isn't just in the thing itself, but in the person you become while building it. It teaches you grit. It teaches you patience. It teaches you that some of the most worthwhile things in life don't come easy, and that's precisely why they're so rewarding. The journey is the real teacher, and the sweat and struggle are part of the lesson. It's not about the easy win. It's about the strength you find in the long, often difficult climb. Have you ever stopped to think about what it really takes to become wealthy? Most of us grow up hearing that you need to go to school, get good grades, and earn a degree. It sounds like a long, clear path, right? Like you just keep adding more and more education, and eventually the money will just appear. But here's the thing, it's not always that simple, and sometimes it's not true at all. For a long time, people have believed that books and classrooms are the only doors to a good life. We imagine someone with many university degrees, a stack of diplomas, and a fancy office. And sure, for some jobs, that kind of learning is a must. A doctor or a scientist definitely needs years of schooling. But when we talk about being truly rich, about creating value and having financial freedom, the story gets much deeper. It's not just about how many years you sat in the classroom. Think way back, long before universities as we know them existed. In ancient times, and even through much of history, most people didn't go to formal schools. Instead, they learned by doing. A young person might learn to be a blacksmith by working with a master, or they'd learn farming by helping their parents in the fields. Some of the most successful traders, builders, or artists back then never saw the inside of a school. They learned by watching, trying, failing, and trying again. Their education was life itself, filled with hands-on lessons about their craft, about people, and about how the world worked. It's like learning to ride a bike. You can read every book about bicycles, study the physics of balance, and watch 100 videos. That's a kind of education. But until you actually get on the bike, fall a few times, and push off with your own feet, you haven't truly learned to ride. The real understanding comes from the action, from the scrapes and the triumphs. It's an education that happens outside of a textbook. And that's what we see in the world today, too. Some people build amazing companies or find clever ways to solve problems. And they do it without a string of degrees. They learn from experience, from listening to others, from experimenting with ideas. They have a kind of street smarts or life smarts that formal schooling doesn't always teach. They might read a lot, but they read for what they need right now, not just to pass a test. They seek knowledge, yes, but not always from a professor or a classroom. So, while learning is always good, and school is a valuable place, remember this, the path to wealth, or even just a meaningful, independent life, isn't always marked by a diploma. It's often paved by curiosity, grit, and the willingness to learn from the world around you. In all its forms, the deepest education might just be the one you give yourself, day by day, by paying attention and daring to try. Have you ever wished a tricky situation would just disappear? Like a tough math problem, or a disagreement with a friend, or maybe a messy room that somehow, magically, cleans itself. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? This idea that if we just wait, if we ignore it long enough, everything will just sort itself out. But here's the thing about money problems. They don't work like that. They won't fix themselves. It's easy to hope that our money worries will just vanish. Maybe a sudden stroke of luck, a forgotten $20 bill in an old jacket, or a new rule that makes everything easier. We all want a simple way out. For thousands of years, people have hoped for good fortune to arrive, believing fate would handle their troubles. But if you look closely at history, you see that the people who actually changed their lives and solved their problems were the ones who took action. They didn't wait for things to fix themselves. They rolled up their sleeves and did the work. Think about something simple, something you see every day, your school backpack. Imagine you just keep stuffing things into it. Messy papers, forgotten snacks, old pens, without ever taking anything out or organizing it. Does it suddenly become neat and tidy on its own? Number? It gets heavier. It gets harder to find what you need. Things get crushed or lost. That's exactly how money problems tend to work. If you ignore a small crack in a wall, it doesn't seal itself up. Water gets in, the crack gets bigger, and soon you have a much bigger problem. Our brains sometimes play a trick on us. When something feels difficult or uncomfortable, like looking at a pile of bills or a bank balance that isn't what we want it to be, we might try to avoid it. It's called avoidance, and it's a natural human response to stress. We think, if I don't look at it, maybe it's not real. But avoidance doesn't make problems go away. It just gives them more time to grow. A small money problem, like not understanding where your allowance goes, can become a bigger one, like not having enough saved for something you really want. Money isn't a living thing. It doesn't move on its own. It doesn't organize itself into neat piles, or magically grow if you ignore it. It needs attention. It needs decisions. Every choice you make, or don't make, about money has an effect. If you don't track what you spend, you might wonder where it all went. If you don't save, you won't have anything later. These aren't just things that happen to you. They're the results of actions, or the lack of them. So, here's what I found. The peace that comes from facing your money situation, even if it feels tough, is worth it. It's not about being perfect with money right away. It's about understanding that problems need your notice. They need you to bravely look at them, even for a moment. Just by doing that, by admitting there's something to face, you've already started the fixing. You've taken the first step toward a future where you're in charge, not waiting for something that will never come. Is it truly okay to ask a friend for money? We often think of money as just numbers, something you give and get back. And when it comes to friends, we might think, they're my friend, they'll understand. But here's the thing about borrowing from friends. It's not just about the money itself. It's about how money changes the unspoken rules between people. Think about it like this. For a long, long time, before banks and credit cards, people lived in small groups. If you needed help, you asked your neighbor, your family, your friend. Someone might lend you a tool or share food. There wasn't a strict contract. It was about trust, about knowing that one day you'd help them back. It was a natural way for communities to stick together. These were not financial deals. They were social bonds. But money, as we know it now, came into play and started to measure things. It made things very clear. You owe this much. You get this much. When you bring that clear, measurable thing money into the fuzzy, feeling-based world of friendship, things can get tricky. Friendship is built on trust, on shared jokes, on being there for each other. It's not usually built on who owes whom what. Imagine a simple example. You lend a friend your favorite, most comfortable hoodie, the one that feels just right, that carries memories. It's not just a piece of fabric, it's your hoodie. If they don't give it back when they said they would, or if it comes back stained, it's not just about the hoodie. It's about the feeling that they didn't respect your trust or your special item. Money borrowed from a friend can be like that. It's not just dollars and cents. It carries a piece of their trust, a bit of their willingness to help you out. And here's why it matters. If you don't pay it back on time, or if you forget, it's not just a forgotten debt. It can feel like a broken promise. It can make your friend wonder if you value their friendship as much as you value the money you borrowed. That quiet question, that tiny doubt, can slowly start to unravel the threads of a friendship. It can make future interactions feel awkward, like there's something unspoken hanging in the air. So, while borrowing from friends might seem okay on the surface, it asks us to think deeper. It asks us to consider what friendship truly means. It's a quiet reminder that some things, like the ease and trust between friends, are worth more than any amount of money. And sometimes, the best way to keep those bonds strong is to keep money out of them, preserving the true, priceless nature of connection. Have you ever started something small, maybe a tiny project, and told yourself, oh, this isn't serious? Maybe it was something you did just for fun, or to earn a few extra dollars, but you didn't really think it could become anything big. It's like a secret voice whispers that tiny things stay tiny. Here's the thing, that we don't see it as real work or something that could ever truly matter. We think of it as a hobby, a distraction, not a path to something more. But this way of thinking limits what's possible. Think about how so many big things began with a tiny, almost invisible start. If you look back through history, you'll find stories of ancient craftspeople working alone in small workshops, making things one by one. Or consider the first small garden someone planted to feed their family. These weren't grand public projects at first. They were quiet, personal efforts. But these simple acts, repeated and grown over time, led to whole new ways of living and working. Philosophers long ago understood this idea. They knew that the largest river begins with a single drop of rain, and the tallest mountain is made of countless grains of sand. It's about understanding how small, consistent actions build into something massive. Imagine a tiny acorn. It's just a little brown seed, small enough to hold in your hand. If you saw it lying on the ground, you probably wouldn't think much of it. It doesn't look like anything special. But inside that acorn is all the potential, all the instructions to become a giant oak tree. A tree that could stand for hundreds of years, provide shade, shelter, and even help clean the air. The acorn itself doesn't look serious. It doesn't look strong or tall. But if you plant it in good soil, give it water and sunlight, and protect it, it will slowly, quietly begin to grow. It won't become a tree overnight. It takes time, patience, and consistent care. Your side hustle, or any small project you start, is a lot like that acorn. Right now, it might feel small. It might not be earning a lot of money or attracting much attention. It might seem like just a small part of your day. But inside that small beginning, there's immense potential. As you keep going, you learn new things. You get better at what you do. You meet new people who might help you. You discover new ways to make your idea grow. It's not just about the money you make today. It's about the skills you gain, the lessons you learn, and the confidence you build for tomorrow. So, don't let that quiet voice convince you that your small start isn't serious. Don't look down on the little acorn. Every great journey, every big success, every powerful idea began with a single, often overlooked step. There's a deep, quiet power in planting that seed and believing in its hidden ability to grow. It's about understanding that what you do today, no matter how tiny it seems, could be the very beginning of something truly significant. Ever feel like money just vanishes? Like you had $20 and now it's gone, and you can't quite remember where it went? It's a common feeling, isn't it? Here's the thing. Many people believe they don't need to track their spending. They think, I know what I spend, or it's too much work, or it's nobody's business. But that idea, that you don't need to know where your money goes, is one of the biggest lies that keeps people from building wealth. It's like trying to find a lost item in a dark room without a flashlight. You can't fix what you can't see. Tracking isn't about being strict or judging yourself. It's simply about seeing. It's about shining a light on your financial path. When you know where every dollar goes, you start to understand your habits. You see patterns. And that understanding is powerful. Think about it this way. For thousands of years, humans have kept records. Ancient civilizations tracked harvests, trade goods, even star movements. They did it because knowing what you have and what you use gives you power. It helps you plan. It helps you survive. The wise ones knew that understanding your resources, whether it was grain in a silo or shells used for trade, was key to a stable life. It's a very old human need to account for what matters. This isn't a new concept. It's an old wisdom, just applied to modern money. Imagine you're playing a video game, maybe one where you collect coins or power-ups. Would you just ignore your score or how many items you have? No way. You'd always be checking your inventory, seeing how many coins you have left, what health potions you've got. Why? Because that information helps you play better. It helps you make smart choices about what to buy or when to use a special ability. Your money is like that game's inventory. If you don't know what's in it or what you're spending it on, you're playing the game of life blindfolded. Or think about a scientist. A scientist doesn't just guess what's happening in an experiment. They measure everything. They track data points. Because without that data, they have no idea idea what caused what or how to get a different result. Your spending is your financial data. So, tracking your money isn't about shame or guilt. It's about self-knowledge. It's about building a map of your financial world. And when you have a map, you can choose your direction. You can decide if you want to go left or right, fast or slow. You gain a quiet kind of power. It's not about earning more first. It's about understanding what you have right now and where it goes. And that understanding, that clear sight, is the first real step towards building the life you truly want. It gives you a sense of calm, knowing where you stand. It's an act of care for your future self. How far away does tomorrow feel? What about being an adult? Maybe in your 60s. It can feel like an impossible distance, right? Most of us, especially when we're young, think about retirement as some faraway dream. It's so far off. Why bother thinking about it now? This feeling, this belief that something so distant doesn't need your attention is one of those big lies we sometimes believe about money. The truth is, the best time to think about your future, especially your money, is right now. Here's the thing. Money has a quiet, powerful magic when it's given enough time. Imagine planting a tiny seed. It doesn't look like much, but with water and sunlight, it sprouts. Then it grows into a big, strong tree. Money works like that. If you put even a small amount away, and that money earns a little more, and that new money also starts earning, it adds up. It's like your money has little babies, and those babies have babies. Over many years, those tiny seeds can become a whole forest. For a long time in history, retirement didn't exist. People worked until they couldn't anymore, often with family supporting them. There wasn't a concept of saving enough to not have to work when older. The chance to live a life where you don't need to labor when tired. That's a new freedom. Ancient philosophers, like the Stoics, talked about controlling what you can control. You can't stop time, but you can control what you do with your time and resources. Now, this isn't just about money, it's about wisdom. It's about looking ahead, even when the path is long, and taking that first step. Think about a snowball rolling down a hill. When you first push it, it's tiny, but as it rolls, it picks up more snow, getting bigger. And the bigger it gets, the faster it picks up even more snow. It's not just growing, its growth is growing. That's how money saved early works. If you wait until you're older, you start with a smaller snowball, and it has less time to get big. But if you start today, even with a tiny amount, that little snowball has decades to roll and become huge, almost without you doing much more work, just by giving it time. So, while retirement might feel far away, starting early isn't really about being old. It's about giving your future self a real gift. It's about building peace and security for the person you will become. It's about knowing you quietly took care of you, even when you was a kid who barely thought about next week. It's about building a strong foundation, brick by brick, even if you can't see the whole house clearly. It makes that distant future feel less like a worry and more like something you've thoughtfully prepared for, a calm harbor you're building. And that feeling, that sense of calm and quiet readiness, that's a feeling worth starting for today. Do you ever think that if you just had more money, all your problems would disappear? Like if your allowance doubled, or if you won a big lottery, suddenly life would be perfect? It's a common thought, right? We often believe the answer to financial struggles is simply to earn a bigger paycheck. But here's the thing. Sometimes it's not about how much money flows in, but about what happens to the money once it's there. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a bucket. This bucket represents your money. Every time you earn some cash, you pour it into the bucket. Now, what if your bucket has a big hole in the bottom? You can pour and pour, adding more and more water. But if it's leaking out faster than you can fill it, the bucket will never be full. It won't matter if you get a bigger hose or more water. The real problem is the hole. In the world of money, that hole is how you manage what you already have. It's about your spending habits, your choices, and how wisely you use the resources that come your way. For centuries, wise people have understood this. It wasn't about being rich in gold, but rich in good sense. Ancient thinkers, long before bank accounts and credit cards, talked about about stewardship. That's a simple word for taking good care of what you've been given, whether it's land, tools, or even your time and energy. They knew that wastefulness, even with a lot of resources, would eventually lead to ruin, and being careful, even with little, could lead to stability. Here's a way to think about it in your own life. Imagine you get your allowance. Let's say it's $20 a week. You could think, if only I got $40, I'd be set. But what if, right now, with your $20, you buy snacks every day that you don't really need, or you spend it all on video game skins the moment you get it? Even if your allowance suddenly jumped to $40, you might just buy more snacks or more skins. The pattern, the whole, is still there. The amount of money changed, but the way you handle it didn't. Or consider a different example, a simple scientific one. Think about a plant. You can give it all the sunlight in the world and plenty of water. You can even give it extra sunlight, like trying to earn more money. But if the soil it's planted in is poor, or if the roots are tangled, the plant won't grow healthy. The sunlight isn't the only answer. You also need to care for the roots, make sure the soil is good, and give it the right nutrients. Managing the environment the plant is in, that's like managing your money. The truth is, focusing only on making more money can be like running on a treadmill. You're working hard, moving fast, but not really getting anywhere if your underlying habits aren't helping you keep what you gain. It's not about being stingy, but about being thoughtful. It's about asking, what does this money do for me? Is it helping me build something, or is it just disappearing? Learning to manage what you have, even a little, builds a quiet strength inside you. It gives you a sense of control. It means understanding that true wealth isn't just a number in a bank account, but a feeling of security, a sense of calm. It's knowing that you are the master of your money, not the other way around. It's a deeper kind of freedom, one that begins not with how much you get, but with how wisely you use what you already hold. It's about building a solid base, one careful step at a time. Have you ever thought that getting help with money feels like something only really rich people do? Or that the advice itself is just another big bill you can't afford? It's easy to believe that good advice costs too much, that it's out of reach for regular people. But here's the thing, often the real cost isn't in paying for good advice, but in trying to go it alone without it. Think about it like this. For thousands of years, people have always sought out wisdom. In ancient times, if you wanted to learn how to build a strong house, or find the best hunting grounds, or even understand the stars, you'd go to someone who already knew. Maybe they were an elder, a skilled craftsman, or a wise leader. You wouldn't pay them with money as we do today, but you might offer your labor, or food, or simply show great respect and attention. The knowledge they shared, that deep understanding, was more valuable than gold. It kept communities safe, helped them grow, and allowed them to thrive. The value of that knowledge was immense, even if it didn't come with a price tag. Today, we pay for specialized knowledge, and sometimes that payment feels like a barrier. But here's an example. Imagine you want to learn to play the guitar. You could try to teach yourself. You could watch some free videos online, and that's okay to start. But what if you get stuck? What if you're holding the guitar wrong, or learning bad habits that will make it harder later on? A good guitar teacher charges money for lessons. Let's say it's $40 for an hour. That seems like a lot, right? But in that hour, they can show you things that would take you weeks or months to figure out on your own. They can correct your mistakes right away. They can teach you shortcuts and proper techniques. That $40 isn't just for an hour of their time. It's for their years of experience, for the knowledge that helps you avoid mistakes and learn faster and better. It's an investment in your skill, a way to save you a lot of wasted time and frustration down the road. The same idea holds true for money. You might think hiring someone to give you financial advice is expensive. Maybe they charge a fee or a percentage. But what if their advice helps you avoid a terrible mistake that costs you hundreds or thousands of dollars? What if they show you a simple way to save money you didn't even know existed? What if they guide you to make smart choices that help your money grow over many years? The fee you pay them suddenly looks small compared to the huge value you gain. It's not about the upfront cost. It's about the bigger picture. When you refuse good advice because you think it's too expensive, you often end up paying a higher price later on in different ways. Maybe it's money lost because of a bad decision you made. Maybe it's missing out on chances to make your money work harder for you. Or maybe it's just the stress and worry of not knowing what to do. Seeking out wise guidance, whether it's about money or anything else, is about respecting knowledge. It's about understanding that some things are worth investing in, not just for today, but for a calmer, more secure future. It's about seeing that true value isn't always measured in what you spend, but in what you gain. Have you ever heard someone say, "I just can't afford to save money"? Or maybe you felt it. It's a common thought. When money feels tight, putting some away seems impossible, like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. But here's the thing, thinking you can't afford to save is a big trap. Really, you can't afford not to. Think about it. Saving isn't just about having extra cash. It's about building a future, piece by piece. It's like gathering acorns in autumn. Humans have done this for thousands of years. Before banks, people understood seasons. They knew winter was coming. If you didn't save seeds from your harvest, or store food, what then? Trouble would come when the cold arrived. Saving wasn't a choice. It was survival. Farmers who understood this made it through. Those who didn't struggled. The same deep idea applies to your money today. Saving prepares you for your future, winter, whatever that might be. It could be an unexpected expense, like your phone breaking, or something big, like college, or starting a business when you're older. When you save, even a little, you're building a safety net. You're giving your future self a chance. Here's a way to think about it. Imagine learning a new skill, like playing the guitar. At first it's hard. Your fingers hurt. The notes sound messy. It feels like you're not getting anywhere. You might think, "I don't have time to practice. It's too hard." But if you don't practice, even 10 minutes a day, will you get better? Number, your skill won't grow. It's the same with saving. You might think you don't have enough money to save, but if you don't start, even a tiny amount, your savings won't grow. And here's the cool part. Saving changes how you think. It's not just about money. It's about taking control. It's about telling yourself, "I am responsible. I am building something." Each time you put money aside, you're not just adding to a pile. You're growing a feeling of peace inside. You're becoming someone who plans, who prepares. This quiet power comes from knowing you're ready for what's next. So, when that thought whispers, "I can't afford to save," pause and answer it back, "I can't afford not to." Because saving isn't about denying yourself now. It's about giving yourself freedom and options later. It's about being kind to your future self. And that truly is priceless. It brings a quiet kind of strength. Have you ever felt a quiet knot in your stomach just thinking about something? A topic you'd rather just push away, hoping it disappears? It might be a tricky conversation you need to have, or a big school project you're putting off. You know you should face it, but a part of you just wants to hide. For many people, money is exactly that kind of topic. It feels heavy. It feels complicated. Maybe even a little scary. So, we ignore it. We push it to the back of our minds, hoping the feeling of stress will just fade away on its own. We tell ourselves it's too much to deal with right now, that thinking about it is just too stressful. But here's the thing, that stress doesn't really go away. It just sits there, quietly. And sometimes, it grows. It gets heavier. It's like a tiny problem that starts small but gets bigger and bigger because no one ever looks at it. Think about it. Our minds are built to seek comfort. We naturally step away from things that cause us pain or worry. This isn't new. For thousands of years, humans have dealt with fears. Sometimes, we'd run from danger, but often, the wisest among us learned to turn and look at what scared them. They understood that running only delayed the problem. It never actually solved it. There's an old idea, a very simple one, that what you resist stays. What you avoid keeps its power over you. This is true for so many things in life, and it's especially true for money. Imagine you have a small cut on your hand. It's not deep, but it's there. It stings a little. You could just cover it with your sleeve and try to forget about it. You could pretend it's not bothering you. You might even think, oh, it's just a little cut. I don't want to think about it right now. It's too annoying. But what happens? That cut doesn't magically heal if you ignore it. It might get dirty. It might start to hurt more. It might even get infected. The only way for it to get better is to clean it. Maybe put a Band-Aid on it and let it heal properly. You have to face the small pain to get rid of the big one. Money worries work a lot like that. That small worry about how you'll afford something, or how your family talks about bills. If you leave it alone, it doesn't just disappear. It gets worse. It grows. It can become a bigger, harder problem to deal with later. The stress you feel now, when you avoid it, only gets stronger. But if you slowly, gently, start to look at it, you begin to take away its power. Facing something difficult doesn't always feel good at first. It takes courage. But there's a deep, quiet calm that comes from looking at your fears head on. It's like stepping into the light after being in the shadows. When you understand something, even something that scares you, it loses some of its hold. You gain power instead. You start to see ways forward. Thinking about money, even when it feels stressful, is not about finding all the answers right now. It's about taking that first, small step. It's about opening your eyes just a little. Because when you do, that big, scary topic starts to shrink, and you begin to grow. The world of money might seem confusing or overwhelming, but understanding it, bit by bit, is one of the kindest things you can do for your future self. It's a quiet courage, a gentle way of saying, I've got this. Voiceover. Have you ever felt stuck? Like there's a big problem in front of you, maybe something about your money, or just life in general, and you whisper to yourself, there's nothing I can do. It's a heavy feeling, isn't it? That sense that you're just a small boat on a giant stormy ocean with no control over the waves. But here's the thing, that feeling, that idea of nothing I can do, it's often a lie we tell ourselves. It's a way our minds try to protect us from trying and possibly failing. It keeps us safe, but it also keeps us small. It stops us from even looking for the levers, the buttons, the tiny little things we can actually do. And when it comes to money, believing this lie can really hold you back. It makes you think you're stuck in whatever situation you're in, whether it's not having enough or not knowing what to do with what you have. But you have power, more than you might realize. It's not about magic. It's about understanding where your true control lies. It's about your choices. People have thought about this for thousands of years. Think about ancient thinkers, way back in history. They didn't have cell phones or the internet, but they wrestled with the same human feelings. They talked about things like self-control and inner freedom. Not freedom to do whatever you want without consequences, but freedom within yourself. The freedom to choose how you react, what you focus on, and what actions you take, even when the world around you seems chaotic. They understood that while we can't always control what happens to us, we almost always have a say in how we respond to it. This idea is powerful. It means even in tough situations, you're not just a leaf blowing in the wind. You have an anchor inside you. Think about a time you had a big school project due. At first, it might have felt overwhelming, right? Like, oh no, there's too much to do. I can't possibly finish it. That's the nothing I can do feeling creeping in. But then, what did you do? Maybe you broke it down. You started with just one part. Or you decided to spend just 30 minutes on it, even if you didn't feel like it. And then another 30 minutes. Suddenly, those tiny actions started to add up. The project didn't seem so impossible anymore. You didn't control the deadline or the amount of work, but you did control your choice to start, your choice to break it down, your choice to keep going. That's your power. It's like a tiny ripple in a pond. You throw one small stone and it creates a ripple. That ripple then creates more ripples. Your small actions, your choices, they create ripples that can become big waves of change over time, especially with something like your money habits. So, the next time that whispered thought comes, there's nothing I can do. Pause, take a breath, and remember that it's often a trick, a shadow. Look closer. What is within your reach? What one small choice can you make right now? It might not fix everything immediately, but it's a step. It's you reclaiming your quiet strength. It's recognizing that even when the world feels big and confusing, you have a solid ground